Section 1 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet I. The First Vision of Love. A ciascun alma presa e gentil core. To each enamoured soul, each gentle heart, within whose ken comes what I now indite, that they their thoughts on what it means may write, greeting in love, their lord, I now impart. Night's hours were minished just by 1/3 part, what time when every star shows brightest sheen, when, all at once, love by mine eyes was seen, whose very memory makes my spirit start. Joyous seemed love, and he my heart did press within his hands, and in his arms he bare my lady, sleeping, wrapped in silken sheet. Then woke her, and that burning heart to eat gave her. She fed with timid lowly air. Then as he went, tears did his grief confess. End of section 1. Recording by Algy Pug. Section 2 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet II. What Might Have Been. Guido, vorrei che tu e Lapo ed io. Guido, I would that Lapo, thou, and I were taken by some skilled enchanter's spell, and placed on board a bark that should speed well through wind and wave, and with our will comply, so that nor evil chance nor stormy sky should be to our desire impediment. So, living always in one full consent, desire should grow to dwell in company. And Lady Vanna, Lady Bice too, with her who nobly fills my 30th line, would that the good enchanter these might move with us to speak for evermore of love, and each of them in full content combine, e'en as I deem 'twould be with me and you. End of section 2. Recording by Algy Pug. Section 3 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata I. De Profundis. O voi, che per la via d'amor passate. O ye, who on love's path pursue your way, behold and say if there be any sorrow grave as mine. That ye would list to me is all I pray, and then let fancy's play judge if of all woe I am key and shrine. Love, not for little good that in me lay, but for his own noble goodness to display, placed me in life so pleasant and so fair that oft I heard behind me voices say, ah, through what merit may his heart so light be, and so free from care? Now have I all my wonted courage lost, which came of old from love's great treasure store, whence I continue poor, and shrink when I would any one accost. And thus, desiring still to act like those who in their shame hide their deficiencies, cheerful I meet men's eyes, and weep within, and wail o'er all my woes. End of section 3. Recording by Algy Pug. Section 4 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet III. Death of Beatrice's Friend. 1. Piangete, amanti, poiché piange amore. Weep, all ye lovers, seeing love doth weep, hearing what cause calls forth his piteous cry. Love hears fair ladies mourn in sympathy, whose eyes give outward proof of sorrow deep. For villainous Death on gentle heart doth heap the strokes of his most cruel workmanship, wasting what winneth praise from each man's lip in lady fair, save the honour she doth keep. Hear ye what homage Love to her did pay, for I saw him lament in very deed over the lifeless form he came to view. And often to high heaven his glance he threw, where finds a home the gentle spirit freed, who was a lady of such presence gay. End of Section 4. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 5 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata II, Death of Beatrice's Friend, 2. Morte villana di pietà nemica. O villain Death, of pity ruthless foe, old parent of great woe, inevitable doom and hard to bear, since thou hast filled my heart with sad despair, and to and fro I wander full of care, my tongue in blaming thee doth weary grow. And if I seek thee pitiless to show, needs must I make men know thy guilt, wherein all wrongs most wrongful are. Not that 'tis hidden from men's eyes afar, but to rouse all to fiery heat of war, who henceforth shall with love's true nurture grow. Thou from the world hast ta'en all courtesy and virtue, that which wins a lady praise. In youth's first gladsome days thou hast laid low all love's sweet pleasantry. More tell I not who that fair dame may be, than by the exceeding grace each act displays. Who treads not life's true ways, let him not hope to have her company. End of Section 5. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 6 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet IV. Love as Pilgrim. Cavalcando l'autrier per un cammino. Riding the other day along a road, all pensive o'er the thought that made me sad, I found Love halfway on my journey, clad in the light garb the pilgrim's raiment showed. Like one of low estate he on did plod, as though his lordship he had cast aside, and sighing, full of thought, his course he plied, that he might look on none, with head low bowed. When he saw me he called me by my name, and said, I come from region distant far, where through my will thy heart had ta'en its flight, and now I bring it for a new delight. Such measure full of him I then did share, he fled, nor saw I how he went and came. End of Section 6. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 7 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet V. Separation. S'il bello aspetto non mi fosse tolto. Were the sweet sight from me not ta'en away of that fair lady whom I long to see, for whom I sigh and weep in misery, thus distant from her face so blithe and gay, that which his heavy load on me doth weigh, and makes me feel such torment keen and dire, after such fashion that I half expire, like one with whom his hope no more will stay, would be but light, and with no terror dread. But since no more I see her as of old, love pains me, and my heart with grief is cold. and so of every comfort I lose hold, that all things which delight on others shed to me are troublous and work woe instead. End of section 7. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 8 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone I. The Lover's Plea for Pity. La dispietata mente che pur mira. My sorrowing soul, that only looks behind On days gone by of which I now am reft, on this side with my heart holds conflict sore, on that fond longing that calls back my mind to the sweet country that I now have left, with the strong might of love prevaileth more, nor feel I now within the strength of yore that can for long ward off my sore defeat, unless that help, dear lady, comes from thee, wherefore, if thine it be to set it free by vigorous emprise meet, may it please thee to send thy greeting dear, to bid its virtue be of better cheer. May it please thee, my lady, yet again, thou fail not now the heart that loves thee so, since from thee only succour it can claim. A good knight never rides with tightened rein to help a squire who calls him in his woe, for not for him alone he fights, but fame, and sure its grief now burns with fiercer flame. When I think, O my lady fair, that thou art painted in it by the hands of love, so shouldst thou much more prove for him thy care in greater measure now, since he, from whom all good must needs appear, for his own image in us holds us dear. If thou wouldst speak, thou hope, of all most sweet, of more delay of that which I request, know thou I cannot any longer wait, for all my strength to bear doth waning fleet. And this 'tis fit thou know, since my unrest moves me to seek my last hope ere too late. For man should bear with patience every weight, till the last burden which to death must press, before he seek his greatest friend to prove, not knowing what is love. And if it chance he heed not my distress, then is there nothing that can cost more dear, for death has nought more rapid or more drear. And thou alone art she whom most I love, who upon me canst greatest gift bestow, in whom alone my hope finds fullest rest. Only to serve thee would I long life prove, and those things whence to thee may honour flow I seek and crave, all else doth me molest. Where others fail thou canst grant all my quest, for yes and no entirely in thy hand hath love now left, whence I esteem me great. The trust thou dost create springs from thy bearing, pitiful and bland. For whoso looks on thee in truth knows well, from fair outside, that there doth mercy dwell. Now, therefore, let thy greeting quickly speed, and come within the heart that waits for it, my gentle lady, thou my prayer hast known. But no, the entrance there is barred indeed, with that same arrow wherewith I was hit, which love shot when he made me all his own. By it the way is closed to every one, save to love's envoys, who to ope have skill, by will of that same power that doth it bar. Wherefore, in this my war, its coming would to me be grievous ill, if it approach without the company of that Lord's envoys who imprisons me. Canzon, thy journey should be swift and short, for well thou knowst how brief is now the day for him for whom thou speedest on thy way. End of section 8. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 9 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata III. Eyes dim with sorrow. In abito di saggia messaggera. In fashion of an envoy wise and true, move on thy errand, song, without delay, to my fair dame thy message to convey, and tell her my life's powers are faint and few. Thou wilt begin to tell her that mine eyes, through looking on her angel countenance, were wont to bear the garland of desires. Now, since they cannot see the face they prize, death with such terror on them doth advance, that they have made a wreath of torturing fires. Alas! I know not whither they should fare for their delight, and so thou me wilt find as one half dead, unless thou bring my mind comfort from her. Therefore tell her my prayer. End of Section 9. Recording by Algie. Section 10 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata IV. Apologia pro Vita sua. Ballata, io vo che tu ritrovi amore. I will that thou, my song, find love anew, and that with him thou seek my lady fair, so that my pleading, with thy sweet voiced air, my lord to her may speak in accents true. Thou goest, my song, so full of courtesy, that, though no friend be near, thou oughtest to be bold on every side. But if thou seekest full security, first find if love be there. It is not good without him far to ride. For she to whom thou shouldst thy tale confide, if, as I deem, she is with me irate, and thou shouldst go without him as thy mate, might lightly on thee some dishonour do. With a sweet sound when with him thou shalt be, do thou these words begin, as soon as thou her pity shalt have sued. My lady, he who sends me now to thee seeks, if thy will he win, that thou shouldst hear if his defence be good. 'Tis love who makes him, as may suit his mood, change look and hue for your fair beauty's sake. Bethink thee then, why he his eye doth make on others look, though heart unchanged be true. Tell her, O lady, still his heart hath borne such firm unwavering faith, that every thought prompts him to service due. Quick was he thine, nor ever thence was torn. If she doubt what he saith, bid her of love demand if it be true, and at the end with meek entreaty sue to pardon him, if he hath caused her pain. And if she bid me die by message plain, her slave that hest obeying she shall view. And say to him, who holds all pity's key, before thou leave my fair, he put forth skill on my good plea to dwell, through grace of my sweet flowing melody. Remain thou with her there, and of thy servant what thou willest tell, and if thy prayer her pardon winneth well, bid her with aspect fair to speak of peace. O gentle song of mine, if thee it please, speed at such time that honour may accrue. End of Section 10. Recording by Algie. Section 11 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet VI. Inner Conflict. Tutti gli miei pensier parlan d'amore. My every thought is fain to speak of love, and in them there is such variety, that one constrains me own his sovereignty, another will his power a madness prove, a third, by giving hope, sweet joy doth move, and many a time, and oft one bids me cry. Only in craving pity come they nigh accord, and with heart tremblings sadly rove. whence I know not to what point I should wend, and wish to speak, yet know not what to say, so find myself in amorous wanderings lost. And if I would agree with all the host, I must needs now to her my fair foe pray, that she, my Lady Pity, me defend. End of section 11. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 12 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet VII. Transformation. Col altre donne mia vista gabbate. With other dames thou dost my looks deride, and think'st not, lady, what hath wrought the change that makes me wear a face so new and strange, when on thy beauteous form mine eyes abide. Didst thou but know it, pity had denied longer to prove me with the old distress, for love, whene'er he sees me near thee press, puts on such boldness and such sturdy pride, it smites my senses, making them afraid, dooms this to death and that to banishment, so that I stand alone to gaze on thee. Wherefore another's look I take on me, yet so that still I share the loud lament of those, the sufferers, that are exiles made. End of section 12. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 13 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet VIII. Drunk, but not with wine. Ciò che m'incontra nella mente more. That in my mind which clashes with it dies. Whene'er I come to see thee, my fair joy, and when I near thee stand, I hear love's cries, who saith, "Flee far, if death brings thee annoy." My features paint my heart's hue in mine eyes, which, as in death swoon, leans where rest is nigh, and drunken with great trembling and surprise, it seems the stones cry out to me, "Die, die." Who sees me then is guilty of a sin, not comforting my soul, dismayed with ill, at least improving that my woe doth gain some pity for me, whom your mirth doth kill. That woe which shows itself in looks of pain, in eyes which seek death of their own free will. End of section 13. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 14 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet IX. Nec Morbos, nec Remedia Pati Possumus. Spesse fiate venemi alla mente. Full many a time there comes into my thought the melancholy hue which love doth give, and such woes come on me that I am brought to say, "Ah me! Doth one so burdened live?" For love with me so suddenly hath fought, that 'tis as though life all my frame did leave. One living spirit only help hath wrought, and that remains discourse of thee to weave. Then I arise, resolved myself to aid, and pale and wan, and of all strength bereft, I come to see thee, thinking health to find. And if on thee my longing eyes are stayed, my heart, as with an earthquake, then is cleft, which makes my pulse leave all its life behind. End of section 14. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 15 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone II. Laudes Beatricis. Donne che avete intelletto d'amore. Ladies, who have intelligence of love, I fain would of my lady speak with you, not that I think to tell her praises due, but speaking to set free my burdened soul. I say that, as my thoughts on her worth move, so sweetly love thrills all my senses through, that if I lost not all my courage true, my words would make the world own love's control. Such lofty strains I choose not for my role, lest I, through coward fear, should vile become. But of her gentle life I'll not be dumb, and sketch with light touch that surpassing whole, ladies and damsels who know love, with you, for not to others now my speech is due. An angel speaketh in the eternal mind, and saith, O sire, in yonder world is shown a wondrous thing, which hath to being grown from a pure soul whose brightness shines on high. Heaven, which no other sense of want doth find than of her presence, asks of God that boon, and every saint implores for that alone. And pity only comes to help our fears, for thus speaks God, who of my lady hears. My well-beloved, now suffer ye in peace that this your hope, as long as I shall please, wait, where one dwells whom loss of her shall try, and who shall tell the damned in hell's unrest, I have beheld the hope of all the blest. My lady thus in highest heaven is sought. Now will I ye her worth supreme should hear. I say, who will as gentle dame appear, let her go with her, for where she doth go, in basest souls a chill by love is wrought, freezing each vile thought till to death 'tis near. And who love wills should see with vision clear, must either die or else must noble grow. And when he finds one who doth worthy show to look on her, he doth her worth attest, for that her greeting gives him peace and rest, so humbling him that he no wrath doth know, and, as yet greater grace, God gives her this, he who speaks with her cannot end amiss. Love saith of her, a thing of mortal birth, how can it be so beautiful and pure? Then he looks on her, inly swearing, sure God means in her to work a wonder new. Her hue is that of pearl of priceless worth, meet for a lady, fair, without excess. She is all good that nature can express, and in her, as a type, is beauty true. From her fair eyes, when we their glances view, spirits pass forth inflamed with love's sweet blaze, and strike the eyes of him who then doth gaze, and so pass on, each finds his heart anew. Ye see them there, love painted in her smile, where fixed gaze they may not brook long while. Canzon, I know that thou to many a fair wilt go discoursing, when I thee have sped. Now do I warn thee, since I thee have bred as love's own daughter in her lowly prime, that, where thou goest, thou utter still the prayer. Teach me to journey, for to her I'm sent, whose praises are my one chief ornament. And if, as weak and vain, thou fear'st to climb, stay not where they dwell who are base with crime. Learn, if thou canst, to hold thy converse free only with man or maid of courtesy, who soon will speed thy way in quickest time. Thou wilt find love with her, my lady sweet. Commend me thou to them, as it is meet. End of Section 15. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 16 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone III. Retrospection. Incresce di me si malamente. So sad and keen a grief comes over me, that full as much of pain doth pity as the grief itself excite. Ah me! for that, in saddest misery, a power doth me constrain To pour my last sigh in a breathing light Within the heart which those fair eyes did smite, When with his hands Love opened them to see, To lead me to this season of my woe. Ah me! how kind and free, pleasant and sweet, Did they upon me rise, When they, to my surprise, Began to work the death which brings me low, Saying, "Our light brings peace for thee to know. Peace to thy heart we'll give, delight to thee." So to these eyes of mine those of my lady fair Did sometimes say; but when, with knowledge clear, They came to see that through her power divine My spirit from me had nigh passed away, They with love's banners fled from out the fray, So that their glorious and triumphant gleam Was to mine eyes no longer visible; And saddened still doth seem my soul, which looked thence to be comforted. And now, as though 'twere dead, it sees the heart with which 'twas wed to dwell, And it must part from that it loved so well. Yea, loving well, it goeth wailing sore From out this life's confine, disconsolate, for love doth banish her. She travels hence, so sorrowing more and more, That, ere she pass the line, her Maker listens and doth pitying hear. Within the heart pent up in inmost sphere, With what life yet remains all weak and spent, In that respect that she hath passed away, There she pours her lament for love who drives her from the world to flee. And oft with them would be the spirits which go sorrowing alway Because their helpmate doth no longer stay. The image of this lady fair doth dwell yet in my mind so clear, Where love hath placed it, he who was her guide. Nor doth the ill she sees upon her tell; So is she now more fair than ever, with a smile beatified. And eyes that work my death she opens wide, And wails o'er her who doth her going weep. Go, wretched soul, thy way; yea, rise and go. This cry from love doth leap, who vexeth me as he is wont to do, Though less pain doth ensue, because the nerves of sense less keenness show, And I am nearer now to end my woe. The day, when she in this my world appeared, As stands in record true, in tablets of the mind that now doth fail, My childish frame a strange emotion shared, A passion keen and new, so that it left me full of fear and frail. For all my strength a curb did countervail, So suddenly that on the earth I fell, By reason of a voice that smote my heart. And if the book truth tell, the ruling spirit felt such trembling breath, That it would seem that death had, for it, ta'en in this our world new start. Nor is he sorely grieved who caused this smart. When the great beauty first upon me shone, which wrought so great a pain, Ye gentle ladies unto whom I spoke, that virtue which hath highest praises won, its joy beholding plain, felt that new trouble thence upon it broke, and knew the keen desire that in it woke, through what it wrought of fixed gaze and strong, so that with tears it said unto the rest, "Here will arrive ere long Beauty in place of that which I had seen, which worketh terror keen, and she as queen shall be by us confessed, soon as her eyes with joy our souls have blessed." To you have I thus spoken, ladies young, who have bright eyes, all beautiful and fair, and mind by love subdued and sorrowful. Wherefore extend your care to these my words wherever they may be, and in your presence grant I pardon free, for this my death, to her so beautiful, who, though she caused it, ne'er was pitiful. End of Section 16. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 17 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet X. The Birth of Love. Amor e cor gentil sono una cosa. Love and the gentle heart are one in kind, as the wise master in his verses wrote. Nor one without the other may we find, as without reasoning reasoning soul is not. When nature waxeth loving in her mind, love she makes lord, the heart his chosen spot. Within a while deep slumber doth him blind, for little time or long, as fate's allot. Then in some wise fair dame doth beauty come, which so doth please the eye, that in the heart springs up desire for that so great delight, and sometimes so long while finds there a home. It bids love's spirit wake to bear its part, and so on lady fair works valiant knight. End of section 17. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 18 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XI. Beatrice's Salutation. Negli occhi porta la mia donna amore. My lady beareth love in her fair eyes, and by it all she sees doth noble make. As she doth pass, all turn for her dear sake. The man she greeteth thrills in ecstasies, and bending low grows pale as one that dies, and mourns for every least defect he hath, and from her presence flee false pride and wrath. Help me, fair ladies, to her praise to rise. All sweetness and all lowliness of thought springs up within the heart that hears her speech, and the first sight of her brings sense of bliss. But when she doth a little smile, oh this may not be told, nor memory this can teach, so new and fair a miracle is wrought. End of section 18. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 19 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XII. Beatrice's Sorrows. 1. Voi che portate la sembianza umile. O ye who, with a mien of lowliness, and with bent glances testify your woe, whence come ye that your pallid look doth show, as though it, pitying, looked upon distress? Saw ye our Lady in her gentleness, her face all bathed in tears of love that flow? Tell me, O ladies, my heart tells me so, for no base act doth look of yours express. And if ye come from scene so piteous, I pray you that with me awhile you stay, nor hide from me what chance doth grieve you thus. For I behold your eyes that weep alway, and see your looks so changed and tremulous, that seeing this, my heart too faints away. End of section 19. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 20 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XIII. Beatrice's Sorrows. 2. Sei tu colui ch'ha trattato sovente. And art thou he who hath so often sung of our dear lady, telling us alone? Like him indeed thou art in voice and tone, but thy face seems to strange expression strung. And why so deeply is thy bosom wrung, that thou mak'st others pity feel for thee? Hast thou seen her weep, that thou art not free to hide thy soul's grief with a silent tongue? Leave tears to us, and mournful movement slow. He sins who seeks our trouble to console, for as she wept we heard her speech too flow. So plain her looks betray her sorrowing soul, that whoso would have sought to gauge her woe had fallen down and bowed to death's control. End of Section 20. Recording by Algie Pug.
Section 21 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XIV. The Company of Mourners. Voi donne che pietoso atto mostrate. Ye ladies, who the mien of pity show, who is this lady that lies grief oppressed? Can it be she who in my heart doth rest? Ah, if it be so, no longer hide it so. Truly her features are so changed by woe, and her face seems to me so worn and spent, that in mine eyes she doth not represent her from whom power to bless was wont to flow. If thou canst not our lady recognize, so downcast is she, 'tis no wonder great, since the same thing has happened to our eyes. But if thou look well, by the light sedate, of her calm glance fresh knowledge shall arise. Weep then no more, too sad e'en now thy state. End of Section 21. Section 22 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XV. What tidings of Beatrice? Onde venite voi così pensose? Whence come ye thus with trouble so o'erwrought? Tell me, I pray you, of your courtesy, for I am full of doubt, lest it may be my lady makes you turn thus sorrow-fraught. Ah, gentle ladies, let no scornful thought keep you from pausing somewhat on your way, and to the mourner fail ye not to say, if ye of his fair lady love know aught, though it be grievous for me that to hear. So far as love from himself banished me, that every act of his brings death more near. Look well, and whether I am wasted see, for every sense begins to leave its sphere, if ye, O ladies, give not comfort free. End of Section 22. Section 23 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone IV. Forebodings. Donna pietosa e di novella etate. A lady pitiful, in youth's fresh bloom, and furnished well with human gentleness, was nigh, when often I on death did call, and she mine eyes beholding full of gloom, and hearing those my words of vain distress, was moved to fear, and tears began to fall. And other ladies, who did me perceive, through her who mingled thus her grief with mine, bade her elsewhere incline, and then approached me so that I might hear. This said, "Sleep thou not here?" Another, "Wherefore doth thy soul thus grieve?" Then rose I from that new-born fantasy, and on my lady's name was fain to cry. So sorrowful and sad my voice began, and broken so with anguish and with woe, that I alone the name heard in my heart. And with my face suffused with blush of shame, which over all my features 'gan to flow, love made me turn to them, nor stand apart. Such pallid hue my countenance then bore, it made them speak of me as one half dead. "Come, let us comfort shed," one prayed another in deep lowliness, and thus would question press, "What hast thou seen that thou art strong no more?" And when some comfort o'er my soul was spread, "Dear ladies, I will tell you all," I said. While with sad thoughts my frail life I did weigh, and dwelt upon its days so short and few, Love wept within my heart, which is his home, wherefore my spirit went so far astray, that sighing through my heart the whisper flew, E'en to my lady death will surely come. Then did my soul in such strange wanderings roam, I closed mine eyes beneath their sorrow's weight, and so disconsolate were all my senses, that each failed and fled. And then by fancy led, beyond all knowledge, where truth's voice is dumb, fair ladies' faces sorrowing met mine eye, who said to me, Thou too shalt die, shalt die. Then saw I many things that made me muse, and that vain dream wherein I then was led. I deemed I found myself I know not where, and saw fair dames pass by with tresses loose. One sobbed for grief, another salt tears shed, all darted fire of sorrow and despair. Then step by step it seemed that I saw there the sun grow dark, and stars begin to peep, and that with these did weep. The birds fell down as they their flight did take, the earth began to quake, and one came saying, hoarse and full of care, What, know'st thou not our news of sorrow deep? Thy lady, once so fair, in death doth sleep. Then, lifting up mine eyes all bathed in woe, angels I saw, who seemed a rain of manna, and turning, upwards winged to heaven their flight. And a small cloud in front of them did go, and all behind it went and cried Hosanna. Had they said more, I would have told you right. Then Love said, I'll not hide it from thy sight. Come, see thy lady as she there doth lie. Then dream-like fantasy led me upon my lady dead to look, and as a glance I took, fair dames were wrapping her in cerecloth white. And with her was such true humility, it seemed as though she said, In peace am I. And I became so humble in my woe, seeing in her such full lowliness expressed, I said, O Death, I find thee passing sweet, needs must thou as a thing all gentle show, since with my lady thou hast been a guest, and pity in thee, not disdain were meet. Behold, that I with such strong wish entreat to be of thine, that I like thee may be. Come, for my heart calls thee. Then I departed, all my wailing done. And when I was alone, I said, with glance upraised to heaven's high seat, Blessed is he, fair soul, who thee doth see. And then ye called me of your charity. End of section 23. Section 24 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XVI. Giovanna and Beatrice. Io mi senti sveglia dentro allo core. I felt within, awakening in my heart, a loving spirit that had slept till then. And then I saw Love from a far-off start, so blithe that scarce I knew his face again, and said, In honouring me, do now thy part. And at each word he still to smile was fain. And as my lord and I some time apart stood, looking thither whence he came, full plain, I Lady Vanna, Lady Beatrice saw, come nigh towards the spot where I stood there, one close upon the other miracle. And e'en as now my thoughts true record draw, Love said to me, This is the springtide fair, and Love, the other's name, let likeness tell. End of section 24. Section 25 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XVII. Beatrice, God's true praise. Tanto gentile e tanto honesta pare. So gentle and so fair she seems to be, my lady, when she others doth salute, that every tongue becomes, all trembling, mute, and every eye is half afraid to see. She goes her way and hears men's praises free, clothed in a garb of kindness, meek and low, and seems as if from heaven she came, to show upon the earth a wondrous mystery. To one who looks on her she seems so kind, that through the eyes a sweetness fills the heart, which only he can know who doth it try. And through her face there breatheth from her mind a spirit sweet and full of love's true art, which to the soul saith, as it cometh, sigh. End of section 25.
Section 26 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XVIII. The Beauty of Holiness. Vede perfettamente ogni salute. He sees completely fullest bliss abound, who among ladies sees my lady's face. Those that with her do go are surely bound to give God thanks for such exceeding grace. And in her beauty such strange might is found, that envy finds in other hearts no place. So she makes them walk with her, clothed all round, with love and faith and courteous gentleness. The sight of her makes all things lowly be, nor of herself alone she gives delight, but each through her receiveth honour due, and in her acts is such great courtesy, that none can recollect that wondrous sight, who sighs not for it in love's sweetness true. End of section 26. Recording by Joseph Schneblin of Kansas City, Missouri.
Section 27 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 19. All Saints' Day, 1289. Di don io vido una gentil schiera. I saw a band of gentle dames pass by upon the morn of this last All Saints' Day. And one came on as chief in dignity, and on her right hand Love himself did stay. A ray of light she darted from her eye, which like a burning spirit made its way, and I such boldness had I could descry, her features fair an angel's face display. To him who worthy was she greeting gave, with her bright eyes that lady good and kind, filling the heart of each with valour brave. In heaven I deemed that she her birth did find, and came upon the earth us men to save, and blessed is she who follows close behind. End of section 27. Recording by Christine G. Section 28 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata V. Dawning of New Hope. Te nuvoletta, c'è in ombra di amore. Ah, cloud, that in love's shadows sweeping past, has suddenly appeared before mine eyes, have pity on the heart which wounded lies, which hopes in thee, yet yearning, dies at last. Thou cloud, in beauty more than human seen, a fire hast kindled in my inmost heart, with speech of thine that slays. Then with a glowing spirit's act and art, thou genderest hope which doth to healing lean, when I on thy smile gaze. Ah, seek not why on you trust it doth raise, but on my yearning look, whose fire is strong. Ere now 1,000 dames, through tarrying long, have felt on them the grief of others cast. End of section 28. Recording by Christine G. Section 29 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 20. Credentials withdrawn. O dolci rime, che parlando andate. Dear rhymes, who, as ye go, hold converse sweet of that fair dame who wins for others praise, to you will come, perhaps with you now stays one ye will doubtless as your brother greet. Aye, that ye list not to him, you entreat, by that Lord who in ladies love doth raise, for in his utterance dwelleth there always a thing that is for truth no comrade meet. And if ye should be moved by words of his, to seek her presence whom as yours ye own, stay not your steps, but to her feet draw nigher, and say, O lady, we have thus come on to speak for one who all his joy doth miss, saying, where is she whom my fond eyes desire? End of section 29. Recording by Christine G. Section 30 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 21. Repulsion and Attraction. Dagli occhi della mia donna si muove. From my dear lady's eyes a light doth gleam, so clear and noble that, where it doth shine, things are revealed no artist can define, lofty and strange beyond all fancy's dream, and from their rays upon my heart doth stream such fair it thrills through all my nerves and brain, and I say here I will not turn again, but soon my fixed resolves abandoned seem, and there I turn whence cometh my dismay, to find some comfort for my timorous eyes, which erst that might and majesty did own. When I arrive, ah me, the vision dies, and the desire which led them fades away. Wherefore let love's care for my state be shown. End of section 30. Recording by Christine G. Section 31 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 22. The Moth and the Candle. Io son si vago della bella luce. I am so eager for the beauteous light of those fair traitor eyes that me have slain, that thither, whence I have my scorn and pain, I am led back by that my great delight, and that which clear or less clear meets my sight, so dazzles both my soul's and body's eyes, that both from thought and virtue parted, I follow desire alone as leader right, and he doth lead me on so full of trust, to pleasant death by pleasant fraud brought on. I only know it when the harm is done, and much I grieve for grief that scorn hath won. But most I murmur, ah, for so I must, that pity too is robbed of guerdon just. End of section 31. Recording by Christine G.
Section 32 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone V. The fear of death is fallen upon me. Morte, poich'io non trovo a cui mi doglia. Death, since I find not one who with me grieves, none in whom pity for me moveth sighs, where turn mine eyes, or wheresoe'er I stay. And since that thou art he who me bereaves of all my strength, and robes in miseries, till on me rise misfortune blackest day, since thou, O Death, canst as thy will may sway, make my life rich, or plunge in poverty, 'tis meet that I should turn my face to thee, portrayed like face where death paints every line. To thee, as piteous friend I make my way, wailing, O Death! That sweet tranquillity thy stroke takes from me, if it robbeth me of that fair dame who with her heart bears mine, who of all good is portal true and shrine. Death, what may be the peace thou takest from me, bewailing which to thee in tears I come, of this I'm dumb, for thou canst see it well, if thou mine eyes all wet with weeping see, or see the grief that in them finds its home, or see the doom of death so visible. Ah, if fear now with stroke so keen and fell hath thus dealt with me, what will anguish do, if I see death her eyes' clear light subdue, that want to be to mine so sweet a guide? That thou dost seek mine end I clearly tell, great joy to thee from my woe will accrue, for much I fear, as feeling that dread spell, lest, that I might by lesser grief be tried, I should seek death, and none would death provide. Death, if thou smite this gentle lady fair, whose supreme virtue to the intellect shows as perfect what in her we may view, virtue thou drivest to exile and despair, thou takest from grace the home that doth protect, and high effect doth rob of honour due. Thou wreckest all her beauteous form and hue, which shines with more of good than others shine, as that must needs do which brings light divine from heaven in form of creature worthiest. Thou break'st and crushest all the good faith true of that truth-loving love who guides her right. If thou, O Death, dost quench her lovely light, love may well say where'er his sway doth rest, Lo, I have lost my banner, fairest, best. Death, grieve thou now for that exceeding ill, so sure to follow if my loved one dies, which all men's eyes as greatest woe will own. Slacken thy bow that in it lingers still the arrow that upon the string yet lies, which thou dost poise, its aim her heart alone. For pity's sake, look to it ere 'tis done. Curb thou a little while thine uncurbed rage, now stirred against her life thy war to wage, to whom God giveth such exceeding grace. Ah, Death, if thou hast pity, be it shown without delay. I see heaven's heritage open, God's angels to our lower stage descend, to bear that blessed soul to the place where hymn and song do honour to her grace. Canzon, thou seest how subtle is the thread on which doth hang my hopes that slender be, how strength doth flee without my lady fair. Wherefore I pray thee, softly, gently tread my little song, nor slack to ope thy plea, for upon thee dependeth all my prayer, and with that lovely mien thou'rt wont to bear, seek thou death's presence now, my little song, that thou mayst shatter fierce wrath's portal strong, and gain the meed of worthy fruits of love. And if by thee he may be moved to spare that doom of death, take heed thou stay not long, to bear thy comfort for my lady's wrong, so that to this our world she bounteous prove, that gentle soul, for whom I live and move. End of section 33. Section 33 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Stanza. Sighs from Beatrice's greeting. Si lungamente m'ha tenuto amore. So long have I been prisoner held by love, and thus trained to endure his sovereignty, that as before he harsh was found to me, so now he stays, my heart's sweet guest to prove. Wherefore, when he my courage doth remove, so that my spirits seem far off to flee, such sense of sweetness then comes over me, that my frail soul with pallid face doth rove. O'er me then love such a mastery doth show, he sets my sighs afloat with speech endowed, and they cry out aloud on my dear lady greeting to bestow. This happens whensoe'er she looks on me, so lowly, passing all belief, is she. End of section 33. Section 34 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone VI. Beatrice in Paradise. Gli occhi dolenti per pietà del core. My sorrowing eyes, through pity for my mind, have through their weeping suffered pain so great that now they stop, their tears all spent and gone. Whence, if an opening I for grief would find that leads me step by step to death's estate, needs must I speak with many a sigh and groan. And since I call to mind that I was known of my dear lady while she lived, to tell, ye gentle ladies, willingly with you, I seek not hearers new, but to the kind hearts that in ladies dwell will I now speak, while tears my cheeks bedew, since she hath gone to heaven thus suddenly, and leaves love mourning in my company. Into high heaven hath Beatrice passed, that kingdom where the angels find their peace, and dwells with them, from you fair dames doth fly. It was not spell of cold that killed at last, nor that of heat that other lives bid cease, but her own great and sweet benignity. For the clear light of her humility passed into heaven with such exceeding power it roused great wonder in the eternal Sire, so that a sweet desire came on him to call hence so bright a flower, and bade her pass from earth and mount up higher, because he saw this troublous life of care was all unworthy of a thing so fair. Now hath the gentle spirit ta'en its flight from her fair form, so full of sweetest grace, and she shines glorious in a worthy home. Who speaks of her and doth not weep outright, hath heart of stone so evil and so base, that into it no spirit kind can come. No villain heart by skill of thought can sum the measure of her excellence complete, and thence it is he hath no will to weep. But he great woe doth keep, and grief and sighs that fain for death entreat, and from his soul all consolation sweep, who in his thoughts doth sometimes contemplate what she was like, and what hath been her fate. My many sighs work in me anguish sore, when in my saddened mind my troubled thought brings back her form, whose beauty pierced my heart. And oftentimes her death revolving o'er, there comes a longing with such sweetness fraught, it makes all colour from my face depart. And such pain comes to me from every part when this imagination holds me fast, I shudder as I feel my misery. And so transformed am I, that shame my lot apart from men has cast. Then weeping in my sore lament I cry on Beatrice, saying, Art thou dead? And as I call, by her I am comforted. Tears of great grief and sighs of anguish keen sore vex my heart, when I am found alone, that whosoe'er beheld it 'twould distress. And what the tenor of my life hath been, since my dear lady that new world hath won, there is no tongue that could in full express. And therefore, ladies, not through will's full stress could I to you what now I am declare. Such travail sore my hard life works for me, so bowed in misery, each seems to say, I of thy life despair, seeing my cold lips death pale with agony. But what I am, my lady sees full plain, and I still hope her pity to obtain. Go on thy way, sad Canzon, weeping go, and find the ladies and the maidens fair, to whom thy sister's songs were wont to bear much joy in days gone by. And thou, the daughter of great misery, take thou thy place with them in thy despair. End of section 34. Section 35 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 23. Grief too deep for tears. Venite a intende I sospiri miei. Come now, and listen ye to each sad sigh, O gentle hearts, for pity this doth pray. Sighs that in deepest sorrow went their way, and if they did not, I of grief should die. For now mine eyes are debtors still to cry more often far than with my will doth stay, weeping, ah me! My lady passed away. For weeping would assuage my misery. Ye will hear them call often on the name of that my gentle lady, who hath gone into a world for her great virtue meet, and ofttimes scorn the life I now drag on, in likeness of a sorrowing spirit's frame, deprived for ever of a greeting sweet. End of section 35.
Section 36 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone VII. Beatrice with the Angels. Quantunque volte ahi lasso mi rimembra. Ah me! As often as I call to mind that I shall never more see the fair lady whom I wail and weep, so great an inward grief my heart doth find all gathered, heap on heap, that I say, Soul, why dost thou not depart? For the keen torments that will vex thy heart in that world which to thee much woe hath brought, fill me with saddest thoughts and anxious fear. So I bid death come near, as with a sweet and gentle quiet fraught, and say, O come to me, so lovingly, that I am envious of whoe'er doth die. And in my sighs there comes and claims its part an utterance of great woe, that always calls on death in its despair. To him are turned all longings of my heart, since she, my lady fair, felt of his cruel dart the deadly blow. Because the joys that from her beauty flow, departing far away from mortal sight, have grown to spirit's beauty perfected, which through the heavens doth shed, greeting the angels, love and love's clear light, and bids their subtle high intelligence with wonder gaze. So great her excellence. End of section 36.
Section 37 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 24. A year after. Era venuta nella mente mia. That gentle lady came upon my thought, for whom love weeps of many tears a shower, just at the point when his exceeding power drew you to look at that which then I wrought. Love, who to feel her presence there was brought, woke up within my sad and troubled heart, and to my sighs said, Up, and onward start. And so they took their way, with sorrow fraught. Weeping they issued forth from out my breast, with such a voice as often doth collect the tears of sorrow into morning eyes. But those who struggled forth with most unrest went uttering still, "Noble intellect, a year hath passed since thou to heaven didst rise." End of section 37.
Section number 38 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section number 38, Sonnet 25, The Relief of Tears. Videre gli occhi miei quanta pietate. Mine eyes beheld what pity deep and true was in thy look and features manifest, when on those acts in mine thy glance did rest, which sorrow in me often doth renew. Then I perceived how all thy thoughts did view the state of this my life so dark and drear, so that there sprang within my heart a fear, lest with mine eyes I should my weakness show, and I removed me from thee, feeling deep within me that my heart's sad tears would flow, which in thy presence sweet their impulse found. Then in my sad soul did a cry resound, now with this lady dear that love doth go, who makes me thus to wend my way and weep. End of section number 38. Section number 39 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section number 39, Sonnet 26, Sorrow Finding Sympathy. Colore de morte e di piate sembiante. Love's pallid hue and sorrow's signs of woe never laid hold with such a wondrous might on lady fair when looking on the sight of lowly eyes and mournful tears that flow, as then on thine when first thou cam'st to know my face, where grief its record sad did write, so that through thee did on my mind alight a thought which will, I fear, my heart o'erthrow. I cannot keep mine eyes, o'erspent with grief, from turning often upon thee their gaze, in the keen longing that they have to weep. And thou that wish to such a height dost raise, that they are wasted, finding no relief, and yet thy presence tears from them doth keep. End of section number 39. Section number 40 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section number 40, Sonnet 27, The Wanderings of the Eyes. L'amore lagrimar che voi faceste. The many bitter tears ye made me shed, O eyes of mine, so long a season's space, made others look with wonder on my case. In this my grief, as ye have witnessed it, but in you now oblivion soon were bred. Had I on my part been so caitiff base, not from you all occasion to efface, reminding you of her ye weep as dead, your fickle wanderings cause me many a groan, and so alarm me that in truth I dread the face of lady fair that looks on you. Never should ye our lady who is dead forget, till death claims you too as his own. So speaks my heart, and thereat sighs anew. End of section number 40.
Section 41 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 28. pity akin to love. Gentil pensiero che parla di voi. A gentle thought which speaks to me of thee within me cometh oftentimes to stay, and doth of love such sweet discourse display, it makes my heart with it in sympathy. My soul saith to my heart, who may this be that to our mind comes comfort to convey, and hath in virtue such a potent sway that other thoughts from us afar must flee? The heart replies, O soul, so sorrowful, this is a spirit, new and young, of love, who brings before me all his fond desires, and all his life and all his virtue move from the fair eyes of her so pitiful, who oft hath grieved o'er our consuming fires. End of section 41. Section 42 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 29. Sighs and Thoughts. Lasso, per forza de molti sospiri. Ah me, by reason of the many sighs which spring from thoughts that dwell within my heart, mine eyes are spent, and lose their former art to meet, with answering gaze, another's eyes, and so are changed that they appear in guise of two desires, to weep and prove my woe. And often they so mourn that love doth show round them the circles of my miseries. These thoughts and sighs I breathe into the air grow in my heart so full of grief and pain that love grows faint as death for very woe. Wherefore in their deep sorrow they complain, and have my lady's sweet name written there, and many words that from her death do flow. End of section 42. Section 43 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 30. Pilgrims in Florence. De peregrini che pensosi andate. Ye pilgrims who pass on with thoughtful mien, musing, perchance, of things now far away, take ye from such a distant land your way, as one may judge from what in you is seen? For ye weep not as ye pass on between the woeful city streets in sad array, as they might do whose careless looks display that they know naught of all her anguish keen. But if ye will remain with wish to hear, my heart tells me in sooth with many a sigh that as ye leave it, ye will surely weep. She hath beheld her Beatrice die, and what a man may wish to say of her hath power the hearer's eyes in tears to steep. End of section 43. Section 44 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 31. Beatrice transfigured. Oltre la spera che più larga gira. Beyond the sphere that wheeleth widest round, passeth the sigh that issues from my heart. New power of mind that love's might doth impart with tears to it, draws it to higher ground. When it the goal of all desire hath found, it sees a lady clothed with honour bright, and shineth so that through that glorious light clear visions for the pilgrim soul abound. It sees her such that when its tale it tells I hear it not, it speaks so soft and low to the sad heart that bids it speak of her. Yet that it speaks of that fair dame I know, Sits on my Beatrice oft it dwells, so that I hear it well, O ladies dear. End of section 44. Section 45 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone VIII. Pain of separation. Amor da che convien pur ch'io mi doglia. Love, since 'tis meet that I should tell my woe, that men may list to me, and show myself with all my manhood gone, grant that I may content in weeping know, so that my grief set free my words may utter with my sense at one. Thou willst my death, and I consent thereon, but who will pardon if I lack the art to tell my pain of heart? Who will believe what now doth me constrain? But if from thee fit words for grief are won, grant, O my Lord, that ere my life depart that cruel fair one may not hear my pain. For of my inward grief were she made ware, sorrow would make her beauteous face less fair. I cannot scape from her, but she will come within my fantasy, more than I can the thought that brings her there. The frenzied soul that brings its own ill home, painting her faithfully, lovely and stern, its own doom doth prepare. Then looks on her, and when it filled doth fare with the great longing springing from mine eyes, wrath with itself doth rise, that lit the fire where it, poor soul, doth burn. What plea of reason calms the stormy air when such a tempest whirls o'er inward skies? The grief it cannot hold breaks forth in sighs from out my lips, that others too may learn, and gives mine eyes the tears they truly earn. The image of my fair foe, which doth stay victorious and proud, and lords it o'er my faculty of will, desirous of itself, doth make me stray there where its truth is showed, as like to like its course directing still. Like snow that seeks the sun, so fare I ill, but I am powerless, and I am as they who thither take their way as others bid, where they must fall as dead. When I draw near, a voice mine ears doth fill, which saith, Away, seek'st thou his death to see? Then look I out, and search to whom to flee for succour. To this pass I now am led by those bright eyes that baleful lustre shed. What I become when smitten thus, O love, thou canst relate, not I. For thou dost stay to look while I lie dead, and if my soul back to my heart should move, blind loss of memory hath been with her while she from earth hath fled. When I rise up and see the wound that bled and cast me down sore smitten by the blow, no comfort can I know to keep me from the shuddering thrill of fear. And then my looks with pallor o'er them spread show what that lightning was that laid me low. For, grant it came with sweet smile all aglow, long time all clouded doth my face appear, because my spirit gains no safety clear. Thus thou hast brought me, love, to Alpine vale where flows the river bright, along whose banks thou still o'er me dost reign. Alive or dead thou dost at will assail, thanks to the fierce keen light which flashing opes the way for death's campaign. Alas! for ladies fair I look in vain, or kindly men, to pity my deep woe. If she unheeding go, I have no hope that others help will send. And she, no longer bound to thy domain, cares not, O sire, for dart that thou dost throw. Such shield of pride around her breast doth go, that every dart thereon its course doth end, and thus her heart against them doth defend. Dear mountain song of mine, thou goest thy way, perchance thou'lt Florence see, mine own dear land that drives me doomed and banned, showing no pity and devoid of love. If thou dost enter there, pass on and say, My lord no more against you can wage war. There, whence I come, his chains so heavy are, That though thy fierce wrath placable should prove, no longer freedom hath he thence to move. End of section 45. Section 46 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone IX, The Lover's Threats. Così nel mio parlar voglio esser aspro. Fain in my speech would I be harsh and rough, as is in all her acts that rock so fair, which hourly comes to share more hardness and less penetrable stuff, and clothes itself all o'er with jasper bright, so that, as stopped by it or halting there, no arrow forth doth fare that ever on unsheltered part doth light. And shield and hauberk fail when she doth smite, nor can a man escape those deadly blows which come upon her foes as if with wings, and crush each strong defence. So to resist her I make no pretence. I find no shield that she cannot break through, no place that hides me from her piercing eyes. But as o'er spray doth rise the blossom, so my mind with her is crowned. She seems as much to care for all my woe as ship for sea that calm and waveless lies. My deep-sunk grief defies all power of utterance that in rhymes is bound. Ah, cruel pain, that like sharp file hast ground so silently my strength of life away, why hast thou no dismay thus to devour my whole heart bit by bit, as I to tell who gives thee strength for it? For more my heart doth tremble, musing much of her where I meet gaze of other eyes, for fear lest no disguise should keep my thoughts from being by look betrayed, than I from death do shrink, when he, with touch of love's sharp teeth, doth every sense surprise, whence weak and prostrate lies my mind's whole strength all dull and laggard made. Lo hath he smitten me now, and hath displayed the sword that Dido slew all ruthlessly, e'en love to whom I cry, calling for mercy in my lowly prayer, and he denies and leaves me to despair. Once and again he lifts his hand to smite, that cruel lord, and all hope passeth by, so that I prostrate lie upon the earth, of power to stir bereft. Then in my mind new troubles rise in might, and all the blood, which through my veins doth fly as hearing my heart's cry, flows thitherward, and thus I pale am left. And on the left side I by him am cleft, so sorely that my whole heart throbs with pain. Then say I, once again should he lift hand, death will have gained his prey before the fatal blow descends to slay. Had I thus seen him cleave the heart in twain, of that harsh fair who cleaves my heart in four, death would be dark no more, to whom I pass for her great beauty's sake. For in the sun as well as in the rain that ruthless deadly fair her scorn doth pour. Ah, why wails she no more for me, as I for her in fiery lake? For soon I'd cry, I will not thee forsake. Gladly I'd do it, as though he I were who in those ringlets fair, which love for my undoing crisps with gold, should plunge his hand and revel in their hold. And if I had those tresses in my hand, which are as rod or scourge that makes me mourn, I would grasp them at morn, and hold them till the bells of evensong. Nor would I piteous be, nor gently bland, but like a bear at play act out my scorn. And if by love's scourge torn, for vengeance thousandfold should I be strong. And on her bright eyes, whence the flashes throng that set on fire the heart I bear half slain, I would my fixed glance strain, to venge me for the flight that wrought my pain, and then with love would grant her peace again. Canzon, go straight to that my lady fair, who hath my heart so pierced, and takes by wrong that for which most I long, and with thine arrow at her proud heart aim, for in such vengeance win we chiefest fame. End of section 46.
Section 47 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 32. The Lover's Anathema.
Io maledico il dì ch'io vidi in prima.
I curse the day when first I saw the light of thy bright eyes, so treacherously fair, the hour when thou didst come upon the height of this my heart, to call my soul elsewhere. Love's filing tool with curse I also smite, which smoothed my songs and colours rich and rare that I have found for thee, and rhymed aright, so that the world to thee its praise might bear. And I curse too my memory, hard as steel, so firm to keep what bringeth death to me, that is, thy looks which grace and guilt reveal, through which love oft is led to perjury, so that at him and me men's laugh rings free, as though I would rob fortune of her wheel. End of section 47. Recording by Shakira Searle. Section 48 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata VI. Ignorance in Asking.
Donne, io non so di che me preghi amore.
Ladies, I know not what of love to pray, for he smites me, and death is hard to bear, and yet to feel him less brings greater fear. There shineth in the centre of my mind the light of those fair eyes that I desire, which gives my soul content. True is it, that at times a dart I find, which drieth up my heart's well as with fire, ere all its force be spent. This doeth love as oft as he doth paint that gentle hand and that pure faithfulness, which should my life with sense of safety bless. End of section 48. Recording by Shakira Searle.
Section 49 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata VII. Memories. Madonna, che Signor che voi portate. Lady, the sovereign Lord thou so dost bear in thy bright eyes, that he subdues all power, of surety gives me dower, that thou with pity wilt full friendship share. For there, where he doth find his home and bower, and has society so passing fair, he draws what's good and rare to him as to the fountainhead of power. Hence I find comfort for my hope, full store, which hath so long been rent and tempest-tossed, that it had sure been lost, had it not been that love against all adverse fortune help doth prove, with his bare look and with remembered lore of the sweet spot and of the flowery grove, which, with new hues, all hues of earth above, encircleth all my mind and memory, thanks to thy sweet and gracious courtesy. End of section 49.
Section 50 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata VIII. The Garland. Per una ghirlandetta. By reason of a garland fair that once I saw, each single flower now makes me breathe a sigh. I saw thee, lady, bear that garland fair, sweetest of flowers that blow, and over it, as floating in the air, I saw love's angel hover meek and low, and in his song's sweet flow he said, "Who looks on me will praise my Lord on high." Should I be haply where a floweret blows, a sigh must I suspire, and say, "Where'er my gentle lady goes, her brow doth bear the flowerets of my sire." But to increase desire, my lady sure will be crowned by love's majesty. My slender words a tale of flowers have told in ballad quaint and new, and for their brightness they a garment fold, not such as others knew. Therefore I pray to you, that when one sings it, ye should show it courtesy. End of Section 50. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 51 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 33. Love's Sovereignty. Io sono stato con amore insieme. I have with love in contact close been thrown. From the 9th year the sun did mark for me, and know how he now curb, now spur may be, and how beneath him men may smile and groan. Who strives with him, with skill and strength alone, acts as he does who, when the storm plays free, rings out a peal, as though the vaporous sea and thunderous strife that music could atone. Wherefore within the range of that his bow, free choice to act hath not its freedom true, so that our counsels vain dart to and fro. Well with new spur in flank may he us prick, and each new pleasure he before us lays, we must needs follow, of the old joy sick. End of Section 51. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 52 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 34. The Envoy's Instructions. Parole mie, che per lo mondo siete. Ye words of mine, whose voice the world doth fill, who had your birth when first my thoughts began to speak of her for whom astray I ran, ye who the third heaven move by force of will, knowing her well, to her your course fulfil, so wailing that she may our sorrows scan. Say to her, we are thine, nor think we can present ourselves henceforth more numerous still. Stay not with her, for love is not found there, but take your way around in sad array, like your own sisters in the days that were, and when ye find a lady kind and fair, right humbly at her feet your tribute lay, and say, to thee we gifts of honour bear. End of Section 52. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 53 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 35. For others' sake. Chi guarderà giammai senza paura. Who now will ever look devoid of fear into this fair and tender maiden's eyes, which so have wrought on me that now there lies before me naught but death, to me so drear? See how my evil fortune is severe, For from all lives my life the destinies chose As the type of perilous emprise, That none to gaze on that fair face draw near. To me this end was given by fortune's might, Since it must needs be that one man should die, That others to that peril come not nigh. Therefore, alas! thus drawn along was I, Attracting to me my life's opposite, As doth the pearl the star of day's clear light. End of Section 53. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 54 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata IX, terrible in beauty. Io mi son pargoletta bella e nuova. A maiden young and beautiful am I, and I am come that I may show to you the beauties of the region where I grew. I come from heaven, and thither shall return, to give to others joy in my clear light. And he who sees me, nor with love doth burn, of love shall never have clear visioned sight. For nothing was denied to my delight, when nature begged me of him as her due, who wills, dear ladies, me to join with you. Each star that shines within mine eye doth rain showers of its light and of its potency. My beauties to the world as new remain, because from heaven's high clime they come to me. Nor can men ever know them perfectly, save by the knowledge of a man in whom love dwells, with joy all others to illume. These words are read as written in the eye of a bright angel seen with beauty rife, whence I, who to escape looked steadfastly, incur the risk of forfeiting my life. For such a wound I met in that fierce strife from one whom I within her eyes beheld, that I go weeping, all my peace dispelled. End of Section 54. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 55 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XXXVI, beautiful and pitiless. E non è legno di si forti nocchi. No tree there is so gnarled and stiff to ply, no rock that flinty hardness so doth fill, but that the cruel fair who doth me kill can kindle love there with her beauteous eye. Hence, when one gazes as she passeth by, if he withdraw not, death will work his will, so fails his heart. For vainly prays he still that his stern office he may modify. Ah! wherefore was such wondrous power assigned to the fair eyes of lady so severe, who careth not to save her worshipper, and in such ruthless mood doth persevere, that if one dies for her, to that she's blind, and hides her beauties that he may not find. End of Section 55. Recording by Audiobooks. Section 56 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet XXXVII, a cry for help. Se vedi gli occhi miei di pianger vaghi. If thou dost see mine eyes so fain to weep, through the new sorrow that devours my heart, by her I pray, who ne'er from thee doth part, that thou, sire, them from their desire wouldst keep, that is, that thy right hand should vengeance heap on him who murders justice, and doth flee to tyrant lord, and sucks his poison free, wherewith he fain would all the wide world steep, and hath of so great terror cast the chill into thy subjects' hearts, that all are dumb. But thou, love's fire, whose light the heaven doth fill, raise thou that virtue, who lies all o'ercome, naked and cold, and screen her with thy veil, for without her all peace on earth doth fail. End of section 56. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 57 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 38. Disappointment. Per quella via che la bellezza corre. Along the pathway beauty loves to tread, when to awaken love it seeks the mind, there wends a lady, sportively inclined, as one who deems that I by her am led. And when she comes, where soars the high tower's head, which opens when the soul consent doth find, she hears a voice come floating, swift as wind. Rise, lady fair, nor enter there, it said. For to that lady who doth sit on high, when she the sceptre of high lordship claimed, love granted it according to her will, and when that fair one sees herself passed by, driven from that mansion which love's home is named, she back returns, and shame her face doth fill. End of section 57. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 58 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 39. Stellar Influences. Da quella luce che il suo corso gira. From that bright star, which moveth on its way for ever at the Empyrean's will, and between Mars and Saturn ruleth still, e'en as the expert astrologer doth say, she who inspires me with her beauty's ray doth subtle art of sovereignty distil, and he whose glory doth the fourth heaven fill gives her the power my longing soul to sway, and that fair planet, known as Mercury, colours her speech with all its virtue rare, and the first heaven its boon does not deny. She who the third heaven ruleth as her share makes her heart full of utterance, pure and free, so all the seven to perfect her agree. End of section 58. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 59 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata X. The Scorn of Scorn. Voi che sapete ragionar d'amore. Ye who are skilled of love discourse to hold, hear ye this ballad song of mine forlorn, which telleth of a lady full of scorn, who through her power my whole heart hath controlled. So doth she scorn whoe'er on her doth gaze, she makes him bend his eyes for very fear, for still round hers she evermore displays a portraiture of cruelty severe, while yet within the image sweet they bear which makes the gentle soul speak thankful praise, so full of might that when 'tis seen always from every heart it draws forth sighs untold. She seems to say, I will not lowly be toward any one who gazeth on mine eyes, for there I bear that lord of courtesy whose darts have made new feelings in me rise, and certes I believe she in such wise keeps them to gaze upon her as she please, e'en so an upright lady acts who sees how those who would do honour her behold. I have no hope that pity her will move to deign on others to bestow a glance. So proud a lady is she, she who love shows in her eyes, so fair of countenance. But let her hide and keep him, as may chance, that such bliss I awhile should see no more. Yet shall my longings have at last a power Against the scorn of love, so proud and cold. End of Section 59. Recording by Algie Pug.
Section 60 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sestina I. Similitudes of Love. Al poco giorno ed al gran cerchio d'ombra. To shortened days and circle wide of shade I have now come, alas! And snow-clad hills, when all bright hues grow pale upon the grass. Yet my desire hath not yet lost its green, and so is rooted in the flinty rock, which speaks and hears as though it were a lady. So in like manner doth this fair young lady stand frozen, as the snow stands in the shade. For she no more is moved than is the rock, when the sweet season comes which warms the hills, and makes them change from white to pleasant green, because it clothes them all with flowers and grass. When on her brow she wears a wreath of grass, from out our thoughts she drives each other lady, since mingle there the crisp gold and the green, so well that love comes there to seek their shade, who shuts me up amid the lowly hills, more closely far than doth the flinty rock. Her beauties have more power than any rock, her blow may not be healed by any grass, for I have fled through valleys and o'er hills, that I might freedom gain from this fair lady. But 'gainst her face I seek in vain for shade, in hill or wall or tree with foliage green. Aforetime I have seen her clothed in green, so beautiful she might have warmed a rock with that love which I bear to her mere shade, whence in a meadow bright with greenest grass I wooed her, as a love-inspiring lady, on all sides girt by highest soaring hills. But sooner shall the streams flow up the hills, ere this fair growth of plant, so fresh and green, shall kindle, as is wont with gentle lady, for me, who fain would sleep upon the rock all my life long, and wander, eating grass, only to see her garments give their shade. Where'er the hills cast round their darkest shade, beneath the fresh green doth the fair young lady dispel it, like rock crystal in the grass. End of Section 60. Recording by Shakira Searle. Section 61 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sestina II. Similitudes of Love. Amor mi mena tal fiata all'ombra. Love leads me many times beneath the shade of ladies fair, whose necks are beauteous hills, and whiter far than flower of any grass. And one there cometh, clothed in robes of green, who in my heart dwells, as strength dwells in rock, and, among others, seems as fairest lady. And when I glance upon this gentle lady, whose brightness scatters every dusky shade, her light so smites my heart, it turns to rock. I roam, as strangled all among the hills, till I revive, and am with love more green than ever yet was spring or freshest grass. I ween no virtue ever was in grass, with power to heal, as dwells in this fair lady, who takes my heart, yet leaves my life all green. When she restores it, I am as a shade, no longer have I life, save as the hills, which loftiest are, and of the hardest rock. A heart I had, as hard as any rock, when I saw her, as fresh as is the grass, in the sweet spring that clothes with flowers the hills. And now 'tis lowly found toward each fair lady, only through love of her who gives a shade more precious than did ever foliage green. For seasons, hot or cold, or sere or green, still make me glad. To such sweet rest doth rock the great delight of resting in her shade. O sight! How fair to see her on the grass, tripping more deftly than each other lady, dancing her way through valleys and o'er hills. Long as I dwell mid mountains and mid hills, love leaves me not, but keeps me fresh and green, as none he yet has kept for fairest lady. For never yet was graving seen on rock, nor any form of colour fair on grass, which might seem bright as is her very shade. Thus love contents me, while I live in shade, to find my joy and bliss in this fair lady, who on her head hath placed a wreath of grass.
End of section 61. Recording by Shakira Searle. Section 62 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sestina 3. Similitudes of Love. Gran nobiltà mi par vedere all'ombra. I seem to see great glory in the shade of ladies fair, whose necks are ivory hills, and each on other, as she goes, flings grass. For she is there, through whom my life is green, and in her love fixed, as in wall a rock, and stronger than was ever love for lady. If I have heart love for mine own dear lady, let no man marvel, nor thereon cast shade, for my heart through her holds its joy like rock, which, were it not so, would bring low the hills, and so would change them, as the hue of green fades from the aspect of the new-mown grass. I well may say that she adorns the grass, which for adornment every other lady blends with fair flowers and foliage fresh and green, because so brightly shineth her sweet shade, that it makes glad the valleys, plains, and hills, and certes gives a virtue to the rock. I know that I should be more vile than rock, if she were not to me as healing grass. She hath attained to scale the highest hills, which have been mounted by no other lady, save her alone, whom I love in the shade, like little bird, half hid in foliage green. And if I were like lowly plant and green, I could disclose the virtue of each rock, and none should hide itself beneath the shade. For I am hers, her flower, her fruit, her grass. But none can do as doth my gentle lady, whether she cometh down or climbs the hills. I seem alway as one who climbs the hills, when I part from her, and feel fresh and green, so do I joy in looking on my lady. And when I see her not, like any rock I stand, and watch in faith, still fresh as grass, that soul who finds her chief joy in the shade. More I seek not,
than ever in her shade to stand, who is of all the noblest lady, fairer than any flowers, or leaves, or grass. End of section 62. Recording by Shakira Searle.
Section 63 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone X, hard as a rock. Amor, tu vedi ben, c'è questa donna. Love, thou seest well that this my lady fair, for thy great power cares not at any time, which rules as mistress over others fair. And when she saw she was my lady fair, by that bright ray which on my face shed light of cruelty she grew the mistress fair, and seemed to have no heart of lady fair, but of some creature wild to love most cold. For through the season hot and through the cold, I see her semblance as a lady fair, who had been fashioned out of goodly rock, by hand of one who best can grave the rock. And I, who am more steadfast than a rock, obeying thee through love of lady fair, in secret bear the pressure of the rock, with which thou wound'st me, as 'twere a rock, that had annoyed thee for long length of time, so that it reached my heart where I am rock, and never was discovered any rock, which from the sun's great power or its own light, had in it so much virtue or such light, which could protect me from that self-same rock, so that it should not lead me with its cold thither where I shall be as dead with cold. Thou knowest, O sire, that by thy freezing cold water becomes a solid crystal rock beneath the north wind and its piercing cold. And I, the air, through elemental cold is changed, that water as a lady fair reigns in that clime by reason of the cold. So before look that seemeth icy cold freezes my very blood full many a time, and that same thought which shortens most my time is all transformed into a humour cold, which through mine eyes doth find its way to light, there where it first received that ruthless light. In her is met all beauty's varied light, as also all of cruelty the cold runs to her heart where dwelleth not thy light. Since in my eyes she shines with such a light, when I behold her that her form in rock I see, or wheresoe'er I turn my light, and from her eyes there comes so sweet a light, that I care not for other ladies fair, would that she were more piteous lady fair to me, who ask of her in dark and light to serve her only in each place and time, nor for aught else desire to live long time. Wherefore, O power that art before all time, before all motion and material light, pity thou me who pass such grievous time. Seek thou her heart now, for it is full time, so that through thee may vanish all the cold, which lets me not like others live my time. For if there comes on me thy tempest time, in this my state that fair and goodly rock will see me slain and sepulchred in rock, never to rise again till past is time, when I shall see if ever lady fair was pitiless as is this lady fair. My song I bear in mind, a lady fair, such that she is to me a flinty rock. Give thou me courage where all men seem cold, so that I dare, in spite of all that cold, that new thing which thy form shall bring to light, which never hath been done at any time. End of section 63. Recording by Joseph Schneblin of Kansas City, Missouri.
Section 64 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XI. Winter. Io son venuto al punto della rota. I to that point in the great wheel have come, wherein the horizon, when the sun doth set, brings forth the twin-starred heaven to our sight, and love's fair star away from us doth roam. Through the bright rays obliquely on it met in such wise that they veil its tender light. That planet which makes keen the cold of night shows himself to us in the circle great, where each star of the seven casts little shade, yet lighter is not made one single thought of love, that with its weight o'erloads my soul that is more hard than rock, for its fast hold of image all of rock. There riseth up from Ethiopia's sands a wind from far off clime, which rends the air. Through the sun's orb that heats it with its ray, the sea it crosses. Thence o'er all the lands such clouds it brings, that but for wind more fair, o'er all our hemisphere 'twould hold its sway. And then it breaks, and falls in whitest spray of frozen snow and pestilential showers, whence all the air is filled with wail and woe. Yet love, who, when winds blow, draws up his net to heaven's eternal bowers, leaveth me not. So dear a lady fair is found that proud one, mine own lady fair. Fled far is every bird that loves the heat from Europe's clime, where evermore are seen the seven bright stars that are the lords of cold, and others cease awhile their warbling sweet, to sound no more until the spring be green, until their song by sorrow be controlled, and all the creatures that are gay and bold by nature are from love emancipate, because the cold their spirits' strength doth kill. Yet mine more love doth fill, for my sweet thoughts still keep their first estate, nor are they given me by the change of time. My lady gives them in her youth's brief time. Now have the green leaves passed their fixed bound, which the ram's power to springtide life did stir, to clothe the world, and all the grass is dead, and each fair bough of verdure stripped is found, unless it be in laurel, pine, or fir, or whatsoe'er its verdure doth not shed. And now the season is so keen and dread, it blights the flowerets on each wide champaign, and ill by them the hoar frost keen is borne. Yet the sharp amorous thorn love from my heart will not draw out again, for I to bear it still am strong alway, long as I live, though I should live alway. The watery mists enshrouded pour their stream from vapours that earth holds within her womb, and sendeth upwards from the vasty deep. And so the path on which the sun did gleam, and gave me joy, a river is become, and shall be long as winter sway doth keep. Earth like a white enamelled form doth sleep, and the still water turneth all to glass, through the sharp cold that binds it from afar. Yet I from this my war have not turned back a single step to pass, nor will I turn, for if the pain is sweet, death must surpass whatever else is sweet. What then, my Canzone, will become of me in the sweet springtide season, when with showers love the wide earth from all the heavens shall fill, when in this freezing chill love doth in me, not elsewhere, show his powers. 'Twill be the state of one as marble cold, if maiden fair for heart hath marble cold. Section 65 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XII. Return of Spring. Amor, che muovi tua virtù dal cielo. Love, who from heaven thy virtue dost unfold, as the sun doth its light, for there we learn most clearly what its might, where its rays find the greatest nobleness. And as far off he drives the dark and cold, so thou, great Lord, enthroned in the height, in others' hearts all vile thoughts puttest to flight, nor against thee can wrath long conflict press. Well may each soul feel all thy power to bless, which the whole world is striving to attain. Without thee lieth slain whatever power we have of doing good. E'en as a picture in the darkness seen, which cannot so be showed, nor give delight of varied skill and scene. Upon my heart there smiteth still thy light, as on the star sun's ray, since that my soul as handmaid owned the sway. From my first youth of thy supernal power, hence a thought springs to life, which guides her right, with speech of subtle play, to let my glance o'er each fair object stray with more delight, the more it charms the hour. And through this gazing, to my spirit's bower, a maiden fair, who hath enslaved me, came, and in me kindled flame, as water through its clearness kindleth fire. For at her coming those bright rays of thine with splendor I admire, in those her fair eyes upward leap and shine. Fair as she is in essence, and benign in act, and full of love, so still my fancy, which doth restless rove, doth paint her in my mind where is her seat. Not that it is itself so subtly fine, such high emprise to prove, but in thy might it onward dares to move beyond the power which nature gives to us. And with thy power her beauty groweth thus, as we may judge of work wrought out complete, on subject fit and meet, e'en as the sun is archetype of fire, which nor gives power to him, nor takes away, but lifts elsewhere far higher, the blissful influence of his glorious ray. Therefore, O Sire, of such a nature kind, that this nobility, bestowed on earth, and all benignity, doth from thy fount on high for ever flow, look on my life so hard, with mind and look of sympathy. For thy fierce heat, through her fair majesty, pervades my heart with great excess of woe. Oh, by thy sweetness, love, cause her to know the great desire I have on her to look. I pray thee do not brook that she, in her fresh youth, my life should wrong, for she as yet sees not how she doth please, nor how my love is strong, nor how that in her eyes she bears my peace. Great honor will be thine, if thou shalt aid, and mine a gift full rare, beyond all knowledge, for I now am there, where e'en my life I can no more defend, For all my spirits are so spent and frayed, that scarce can I declare, unless thy will shall pardon their despair, how they can long endure, nor have an end. Still to thy power shall men in homage bend. In this fair lady seen of worthiest might, for still it seems 'tis right to give her of all good great company, as one who in the world her station took to hold her sovereignty over the minds of all that on her look. Song, to the three least guilty of our land take thou thy way before thou elsewhere go. Salute the two, and see thy power thou show to draw the third from evil company. Tell them that good against good lifts not hand, before with evil ones its strength it show. Tell them that he is mad who doth not know, through fear of shame, from madness far to flee. He only fears who shrinks from war with ill, for fleeing this all good he gains at will. End of section 65. Section 66 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XIII. Love's Service. Io sento si di amor la gran possanza. I feel so much the potency of love that I may not endure long while to suffer, whence I sorrow so, because his might doth hourly stronger prove, and I feel mine so poor become, from wonted use I fall below. I ask not love beyond my wish to go, for should he do as much as will demands, that strength which nature gave into my hands would fail to meet it, vanquished in the strife. And this is that which worketh keenest woe, that power keeps not its faith to will's commands, but if in will to good our guerdon stands. I ask to gain a little longer life from that sweet splendor of the beauteous eyes, which comfort brings to soothe love's agonies. The rays of those bright eyes find entrance wide to mine, which love doth sway, and where I bitter taste, they sweetness bear, and know the road, as travellers who have tried before the well-trod way, and know the place where they with love did fare, when through mine eyes they brought and left him there. Wherefore they turn to me and show me grace, and they wrong her whose service I embrace, hiding from me who love with such keen fire, that only for her service life is dear, and all my thoughts, where love fills every space, as to their banner, to her service pace. Wherefore to work for her I so desire, that if I thought 'twould please her I should fly. Light were the task, yet know I should die. Full true is love, which thus hath captured me, and bindeth me full fast, since I would do for him what now I say, for no love with that love compared may be, which finds its joy at last in death, another's wishes to obey, and over me such purpose held its sway. As soon as that strong passion in its might was born from the exceeding great delight of her fair face in whom all beauty dwells, her slave am I, and when my fond thoughts stray on what she is, I am contented quite. For well against his will may man serve right, And if my youth all hope of prize repels, I wait a time when reason shall mature, if only life may long enough endure. When in my thoughts on longing sweet I dwell, of greater longings born, which all my power to deeds of goodness woo, my payment seems my service to excel, and with more wrong is borne by me, so deem I, name of servant true. Thus in her eyes, in whom my joy I view, service is found, at others' hands full pay. But since beyond the truth I will not stray, 'tis meet such longing should as service count. For if I seek my labours to pursue, not so on mine own good my fond thoughts stay, as upon hers who o'er me holdeth sway. For this I do that she may higher mount, and I am wholly hers, attaining this, that love has made me worthy of such bliss. No power but love could me of such mood make, that I might worthily belong to her who yields not to love's sway, but stands as queen, who little heed doth take of love's intensity, who without her can never pass a day. Ne'er have I seen her but she did display a beauty new that still in her I found, whence in me love's great might doth more abound. E'en as new joy is added to the old, and hence it chances that I still do stay in one condition, and love me doth meet with such keen anguish and such rapture sweet, for all the time he lays on me his hold, which lasts from when I lost her from my view, e'en to that hour when she is seen anew. My Canzone fair, if thou art like to me, thou wilt not look with scorn as much as might befit thy goodness sweet. Wherefore I pray that thou learn subtlety, dear song of true love born, to take the way and method that is meet, if true knight thee with offered welcome greet. Before thou yield thyself to do his will, see if his soul with thy love thou canst fill. And if thou canst not, quickly let him go, for good with good still sitteth on one seat. But oft it chances one doth find him still in such a company he fares but ill, through evil fame that others on him blow. With the base dwell not, or in mind or heart, for never was it wise to take their part. End of section 66. Section 67 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XIV. The Angels of the Third Heaven. Voi, che, intendendo il terzo ciel movete. Ye who with wisdom high the third heaven move, hear ye the reasonings that are in my heart. I may not others tell, they seem so new. The sphere whose motion from your might doth start, kind beings that ye are, and full of love, me to this state in which I now live drew, whence of the life I lead an utterance true to you might be addressed most worthily. Wherefore I pray you that ye give me ear. I of my heart to you new tidings bear, how my sad soul breathes there full many a sigh, and how a spirit pleads those sighs to bar, which cometh in the rays of your bright star. As life in my sad heart was wont to be, a tender thought which oftentimes would go, and of your lord and master seek the feet, where a fair dame it saw all glorious show, of whom it spoke to me so pleasantly, that my soul said, I too would thither fleet. Now appears one who bids that thought retreat, and with such great might lords it over me, that my heart throbs and brings its grief to light. He on another lady turns my sight, and saith, who seeks true blessedness to see, let him upon the eyes of this dame look, if he can sighs and anguish bravely brook. A spirit findeth, hostile to the death, that meek thought that was wont to speak to me of a dear angel who is crowned in heaven. My soul bewails so great its misery, and saith, alas, how from me vanisheth that piteous thought which me hath comfort given. Speaks of mine eyes, and saith this soul grief riven, what hour was that such lady them beheld, and why believed they not my speech of her? I said, needs must he have his station there in her bright eyes, who all my peers hath quelled, and it availed not, when I her had seen, that they saw him not, who my death hath been. Thou art not dead, but thou art stupefied, O soul of mine, who dost so sadly wail. So speaks a spirit filled with gentlest love, for this fair dame, who o'er thee doth prevail, hath all thy life so changed and modified, that thou fearest her, so recreant dost thou prove. Behold how meek and gracious she doth move, how courteous in her greatness, and how wise. And in thy thought thy mistress let her be, for if thyself thou do not cheat, thou'lt see such wealth of marvels and of mysteries, that thou wilt say, O love, mine own true lord, behold thine handmaid, work thou out thy word. Canzone, I deem that they will be but few who will thy meaning rightly understand, so difficult and labored is thy speech, whence if perchance such fortune thee attend that thou thy way to any shouldest pursue, who seem not ware what lore thine accents teach, I pray thee then thou yet some comfort reach, by telling them, my tender darling lamb, at least take heed how beautiful I am. End of section 67. Section 68 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XV. The Miracle of Beauty. Amor che nella mente mi ragiona. Love, who doth often with my mind converse, in eager longing of my lady fair, often of her doth utter things so rare that all my reason goes thereon astray. His speech such strains of sweetness doth rehearse, that my weak soul that listens and doth hear, doth say, ah me! for I no power do bear to tell what he doth of my lady say. 'Tis certain it behoves I put away, if I would treat of what I hear of her, that which my mind fails utterly to reach, and much of clearer speech, for want of knowledge, then would me deter. Wherefore if these my rhymes be found to fail, which fain a worthy praise would minister, my feeble mind let all the blame assail, and this our speech, which hath no power to spell all that of her it hears love often tell. The sun, that all the world encompasseth, sees nothing half so lovely any hour, as when he shines where resteth in her bower the lady for whose praise my tongue love frees. Each spirit high sees her and wondereth, and all the tribe that here own love's sweet power shall find her presence as their thoughts' high dower. When love gives them perception of her peace, so doth her nature him who gives it please, who aye in her his virtue doth infuse beyond our nature's utmost claim or plea. The soul of purity, which this great grace of healing power imbues, that gift displays in that which it doth guide, for her fair form is that which eyesight views, and still their eyes, who in her light abide, send envoys to the heart whose wishes rise in the clear air and take the form of sighs. On her God's grace descendeth from on high, as on an angel who his presence sees, and if a gentle lady's faith should cease, walk she with her and see her bearing sweet. There where she speaks doth ever downward fly a heavenly spirit, witnessing with these how the high power she owns by heaven's decrees goes beyond all things that for us are meet. The gentle acts wherewith she all doth greet go calling upon love in rivalry, with speech that makes him lend a listening ear. Of her we this may hear: what in fair dame is kind in her we see, and she is fair who most resembles her. And we may hear that this her beauty free helps to gain faith for what doth wonder stir, and thus our faith doth confirmation gain from her, for this the Eternal did ordain. Things in her aspect are made manifest that witness of the bliss of Paradise. Of her sweet smile I speak, and beaming eyes, which love brings there, the place of their desire. Our feeble mind by them is all oppressed, as when the sun on vision weak doth rise. And since I may not gaze in steadfast wise, needs must I not beyond short speech aspire. Her beauty showers down tongues of living fire, all animate with spirit good and kind, which is the parent of all noble thought. And as with lightning fraught they break the innate sins which shame and blind. Wherefore if any lady thinks that less of praise she hath for looks of haughty mind, let her behold this type of lowliness. She is it who doth humble hearts perverse. She was his thought who launched the universe. My song, it seems thou speakest in diverse tones, from speech that came from sister fair of thine. For this fair lady, who with thee doth shine as lowly, she calls proud and arrogant. Thou know'st that heaven is clear and bright alone, and in itself naught mars its light divine. But for full many a cause these eyes of mine deem the sun's glory dimmed as by a cloud. Thus, when thy sister calls her stern and proud, she thinks not of her as she is in truth, but only as to her she doth appear. For my soul lived in fear, and feareth still, so that devoid of ruth she seems, when I perceive she seeth me, Thus plead, if any need arise, in sooth. And when thou comest, and she shall look on thee, say thou, O lady, if it please thee well, I will on every side thy praises tell. Section 69
of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XVII. Virtus sola nobilitas. True nobility. Le dolci rime d'amore ch'io solia. The pleasant rhymes of love, which 'twas my care to seek out in my mind, I now must leave, not that no hope I find to turn to them again, but that the mean, disdainful, and unkind, which in my lady fair hath shown itself, hath barred the thoroughfare of wonted speech and plain. And since to wait good reason doth constrain, I now will lay aside my sweeter style, which, when I write of love, pervadeth all, and that high worth recall, through which a man grows noble without guile, with keen sharp rhymes awhile, reproving still the judgment false and vile of those who think that true nobility in hoarded wealth doth lie. And at the outset on that lord I call, who makes his dwelling in my lady's eyes, whereby in her love of herself doth rise. One ruled of old, who thought nobility, so he at least did deem, in ancient wealth was found, and high esteem, with ordered life and fair. Another did of poorer wisdom seem, who scorned that maxim high, and thereof let the latter clause go by, having perchance not there. And after such as he all others fare, who reckon noble men by ancestry, which for long years hath run through wealthy line. And so long such malign, false judgment among us hath come to be, that him distinguish we as noble who can say, Behold in me grandson or son of knight who nobly fought, though his own worth be not. But basest he to those who truth divine, who sees the road and then doth turn aside, like one who, dead, doth yet on earth abide. Whoso defined man as a tree that lives, first says what is not true, and with that falsehood takes defective view. May be he sees no more. So he who weighty cares of empire knew, false definition gives. For first he speaks what's false, and next perceives but half the truer lore. For neither, as men think, can wealth's full store or give nobility or take away, because of its own nature it is base. For he who paints a face must first be that ere picture it may, nor can the river sway a steadfast tower, as it from far doth stray. That wealth is vile and incomplete, 'tis plain, however much we gain. It brings no rest, but heaps up cares apace, wherefore the soul that upright is and true, their loss with calm and tranquil mind doth view. Nor let men deem a base churl can attain to honour true, or that from churlish sire a race may spring, that shall to fame aspire. This by them stands confessed. Thus do their self-confuted proofs retire, so far as they maintain that time to honour true doth appertain, as is by them expressed. And hence it follows, from what they attest, that all of us or noble are, or base, or that man never had beginning true. But I take not this view, nor even they, if they have Christian grace, to minds in healthy case. 'Tis therefore clear their maxims have no base, and therefore them as false I still reprove, and far from them remove. And now will, as I think, proclaim anew what is the true noblesse, and whence it springs, and what the notes that name of noble brings. I say each virtue in inception comes from a single root. Virtue, I mean, with happiness as fruit, and all its actions right. This is, so with our ethics following suit, right choice to have it grown, the which doth dwell in the true mean alone, and such words brings to light. I say that noblesse doth by reason's might connote all good in him of whom 'tis said, as baseness evermore connoteth ill. And such a virtue still gives knowledge of itself to those that seek, since 'neath the self-same head both meet, in one effect accomplished. Whence needs must be that this from that should spring, or each some third cause bring. But if this with the other like worth fill, and more, that other rather springs from this, proceed we then on this hypothesis. Noblesse wherever virtue dwells is found, virtue where noblesse, no. e'en as 'tis heaven where'er the sun doth go, though not so the converse. And we see ladies in their youth's fresh glow, with this great blessing crowned, so far as they in shamefastness abound, from virtue yet diverse. Hence must proceed, as from black cometh purse, from this last every virtue singular, or from the parent stock of all the host. Wherefore let no man boast, saying, by descent her fellowship I share, for all but gods they are, who have such grace with every fault afar. For God alone bestows it on the mind, which he doth perfect find, resting in him, so that in few at most the seed of perfect blessedness is sown, planted by God in souls to fitness grown. The soul whom that high goodness doth adorn, doth not its presence hide, for from the first she, as the body's bride, herself till death displays. Obedient, gentle, modest, far from pride, is she in life's young morn, and decks herself with many a grace new born in wisdom's perfect ways, constant and temperate in life's young days, full of sweet love and praiseful courtesy, and finds in loyal deeds her sole delight in age's gathering night, prudent and just, and of her bounty free, and in her soul joys she to hear or tell how worthy others be. And then she reaches life's fourth period, remarried unto God, waiting her end in contemplation's light, and blesseth all the seasons of the past. See now how many have in lies been cast. Thou 'gainst those erring ones, my song, shalt speed, and when thou art, indeed, there where Our Lady fair her home doth find, let not thine errand from her hidden be. Tell her in verity, I of thy true friend come to speak my mind. End of section 69. Section 70 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 70. Canzone XVII. Virtus sola nobilitas. Poscia ch'amor del tutto m'ha lasciato. Since love hath ceased my longing soul to fill, not by my choice of will, for still a gladder state I could not know, but that he pitied so that anguish of my heart to listen to my wail he could not bear. Thus disenamoured, I my song will trill against that form of ill, which will its speech in terms perverse bestow, and call the base and low by name of worthiest part, the name of gallantry which sounds so fair, that worthy of the rare imperial robe it makes him whom it sways. This the true flag displays, which indicates where virtue hath her home, whence I am sure, if her my speech defend, e'en as I apprehend, that once more love with favouring grace shall come. There are who, squandering all their wealth away, believe that thus they may their way make thither where the good abide, who after death provide a home within the mind of whosoever owneth wisdom true. But to please good men this is not the way, for greed as wisdom they display, and thus would scape full many an ill, to the error cleaving still, of them and of their kind, in whom false teaching doth their love imbue. Who will not folly view in banquets rich and light luxurious play, and proud and rich array, as if for sale where buyers are unwise? Not by his dress the wise a man's worth know, this is but outward show, but praise true wisdom and brave courtesies. Others there are who, by the ready sneer, would fain appear wit clear and prompt in ready intellect to hearers who are tricked, as they behold them smile at what their mind doth fail to understand. They speak in words that show of wisdom wear, and count it dear to hear themselves with vulgar praises decked. Love ne'er did them affect with ladies' love a while, in converse they all base jest have at hand. Ne'er would their foot have spanned one pace for ladies' sake in knightly wise. But as to robberies, the thief haste they to steal some pleasure base, but not in ladies yet doth fade and die true sense of gallantry, that they should seem to lose all wisdom's trace. Virtue that leaves the straight path is not pure, and hence of blame is sure. Endure she cannot, when we virtue need, and those the good indeed, by the true spirit led, or habit which on wisdom lays fast hold. Therefore, if praise of it and night endure, its cause we find in Ur, full sure of many mixed things, since indeed it doth with one succeed, with others falleth dead. But virtue pure its place in all doth hold, delight that doth enfold within it love, hath thus the work perfected. And by this last directed is gallantry, and hath her being there, e'en as the sun which gathers in its might round it both warmth and light, together with its form of beauty fair. Though star with star should, with commingled ray, turn gallantry away, to stray, as much and more than I may tell, yet I who know it well, thanks to a gentle one, who showed them to me in each action fair, will not be silent, for I should display base soul of mire and clay alway, and with her enemies seem one. So I from this time on will with song subtly rare thereof speak truth, not knowing who will heed. But this I swear indeed by him whose name is Love, of bliss compact, that virtue without act can ne'er acquire the guerdon of true praise. Therefore, if this hold good in argument, as all will give assent, 'twere virtue, and with virtue knit always. To the great planet it is like, whose might from sunrise bright till night, when it conceals its glorious ray, and where its bright beams play, pours life and strength below, as that on which it shines may bear its power. So she, in scorn of each unworthy wight, who, in false light, true night appears in form that so deceives, that fruits belie their leaves, since ill deeds from them flow, like gifts upon the gentle heart doth shower, quickly with life doth dower, with solace fair and lovely manners new, which each hour brings to view, he who takes her virtue as his guide. O ye false knights, perverse and craven ye, with her at enmity, who like the stars' king shineth far and wide. He freely takes and gives whom she doth own, nor is with grief o'erdone. The sun grieves not when it to stars gives light, nor when from them aright comes help for its employ, but each therein finds ever bliss renewed. To wrath he never is by words urged on, but those alone are known by him that are both good and right. And all his speech is bright, dear for himself is he, and full of joy, desired by wise and good, for of the viler brood he prizes equally the praise and blame, nor through the loftiest fame swells high with pride, but when the time arrives, when it is fit that he his courage show, their praise for him doth flow, far otherwise than are most men's lives. End of section 70. Section 71 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 71. Canzone XVIII. Freedom and Bondage. Doglia mi reca nello core ardire. Grief brings within my heart a spirit bold to help the will which loveth all that's true. So, ladies, if to you I speak what seems against mankind as thrown, marvel thereat the less. But learn your low desires full cheap to hold, for beauty which through love in you hath grown, for virtue true alone, by his decree of old was fashioned, against which ye transgress. I say to you who love's great power confess, that if your dower be beauty, as ours is virtuous duty, and unto him is given to make both one, ye ought all love to shun, and cover what of beauty is your share, for that it hath not virtue love's true sign. Ah, where drifts speech of mine? Fair scorn I do opine, were rightly honoured in a lady fair, who should her beauty banish from her care. Man from himself hath virtue driven away, true man no more, but brute in man's estate. Ah, God, what wonder great that man should wish from lord to slave to fall, from life to death descend. Virtue, to her Creator's subject eye, obeys him, giving him true praise in all, ladies, that love may call. Her is enrolled, where his true subjects wend, in his blest court on high. From the fair gates she cometh cheerfully, and to her mistress turns, goes gladly and sojourns, and with great joy fulfils her vassalage. Through her short pilgrimage she keeps, adorns, enriches what she finds, and warreth so with death he brings no fear. O maiden, pure and dear, shaped in the heavenly sphere, thou only makest noble. Proof is this, that thou the treasure art that bringeth bliss. Slave, not of true lord, but of slave most base he makes himself who from this master strays. Hear now how dear he pays, if ye count up his loss on either side, who passeth virtue by. This master-slave works out such foul disgrace, that the clear eyes that mental light provide through him their vision hide, so that he needs must tread in others' ways, where madness meets his eye. But that my words with profit may apply, from whole I pass to part, and to constructive art more simple, that they tell an easier tale, for seldom neath a veil doth speech obscure approach the mind aright. And hence with you my wish is to speak plain. This do I for your gain, not mine, I must explain, that ye may hold each churl in deep despite, for too soon likeness springeth from delight. He who is slave is like a man who goes in his lord's track, and knows not where it leads, but in dark path proceeds. So fares the miser seeking money still, which over all doth reign. Swift runs the miser, swifter flies repose. O blinded soul, that neither can nor will discern its wishes ill! With that heaped hoard which every hour exceeds, and doth no goal attain. Lo, they reach him who levelling doth reign. Tell me, what hast thou won, blind miser, all undone? Answer, if other answer be than naught. With curse thy couch is fraught, which flatters thee with foolish dreams of night. Cursed is thy wasted bread, less lost if dogs it fed. At morn and eve thy tread was prompt to gather and with both hands grip what fleets so swiftly from thine ownership. As wealth is gained without proportion due, so is it without due proportion kept. This is it which hath swept many to bondage, and if one repent, 'tis not without great strife. O death, O fortune, what is it ye do? Why not set free the wealth which is not spent? If thus, for whom is it meant? I know not. We within a sphere are swept which ruleth all our life. Reason that fails to check with faults is rife. Does he say, I am bound? What poor excuse is found in this for ruler whom a slave commands? Nay, doubly base these bands, if well ye mark where my hand shows the way. False to yourselves, to others harsh are ye, who see men wandering bare o'er hills and marshes fair. Men before whom all vice hath fled away, while ye heap rich robes on your mire and clay. The miser's eye on purest virtue fall, virtue, who doth her foes to peace invite, with lure full clear and bright, to draw them to her, but no good it brings, for still he shuns the bait. Then after many a turn and many a call, the food to him, so great her care, she flings. Yet spreads he not his wings, and if he comes when she hath vanished quite, his troubles seem as great as if he gave not, so for him doth wait no praise to kindness due. I will that these my words be heard by you, one with delay, and one with vain parade, and one, with looks and shade, turns what he gives to bargain sold so dear, as he knows only who such purchase pays. Will to know if his wound phrase? Who takes he so dismays, less bitter 'twere to meet a simple no, and others and himself the miser woundeth so. Thus, ladies, have I laid before you bare one limb of that vile race that looks on you, that wroth ye may them view, but more unsightly still is that concealed, yes, far too foul to tell. Of each 'tis true that each sin gathers there, for friendship still in oneness is revealed, and leaves that love doth yield spring from the root of other blessing true. Since like loves like indeed, hear how to my conclusion I proceed. Who, to be fair, doth deem a good must never dream that she is loved indeed by such as these. But if 'mong ills we please to reckon beauty, she may trust it well, naming as love a brutal appetite. May such dame perish quite, who should her beauty bright from natural goodness for such a cause repel, nor deem love doth in reason's garden dwell. Not far, my Canzone, doth a lady dwell, of our dear land the child, wise, beautiful, and mild. And call on her, yet none may her discern, when they her name would learn, Bianca Vanna courteous calling her. Go thou thy way, to her in meekness dressed, there first thy course arrest, to her first manifest who thou art, and for what I bid thee stir. Then at her hest be thou a follower. End of section 71. Section 72 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XIX, The Three Exiles. Tre donne intorno al cor mi son venute. Three ladies meet together round my heart, and sit outside its gate. Within, love holds his state, and lords it o'er my life with sovereign sway. So fair are they, and with such winning art, that this lord, strong and great, who in my heart doth wait, to tell them scarce knoweth what to say. Each one of them seems full of sore dismay, like one who is to weary exile borne, by this world left forlorn, whom nobleness and virtue not avail. There was, so runs their tale, a time when all men loved them and did bless. Now with them all are wroth, or pass them by. So they, in loneliness, are come as those that do a friend's house seek, for well they know he's there of whom I speak. One mourns and wails in many a piteous tone, and on her hand doth pose like a dissevered rose. Her naked arm, the pillar of her woe, feels the tear-gems that from her cheeks flow down. The other hand half hides the face where grief abides. Unshod, unzoned, she still seems lady fair. Soon as love saw, beneath the garment's tear, that form whereof 'tis better not to speak, he, wroth yet pitying, meek, of herself questioned her, and that her woe. "O thou, whom few do know," she answered in a voice all choked with sighs, "our nature bids us that to thee we go. I whose grief deepest lies, thy mother's sister, am named Righteousness. How poor I am, let robes and zone confess." When she had thus her name and state made known, great grief and shame inspired my lord, and he enquired who were the other two that with her came. And she, who was to weep so very shown, soon as his speech she heard, to greater grief was stirred, and said, "Dost thou for mine eyes feel no shame?" And then began, "The Nile, as known to fame, forth from its fountain flows a little stream. There where the sun's hot beam robs the parched earth of willow's foliage green. By waters pure and clean I brought her forth who standeth at my side, and with fair locks to dry her tears is seen. And she, my child and pride, herself beholding in the fountain clear, brought forth the third who standeth not so near." Love paused awhile, through sighs that from him part, and then with tender eyes, where erst wild thoughts did rise, he greets the sisters three disconsolate. And after taking of each kind a dart, "Lift up your heads," he cries, "behold the arms I prize. See how disuse their brightness doth abate. Bounty and temperance, and the rest cognate of our high blood, must needs a begging go. Wherefore, if this be woe, let those eyes weep, those lips to wail it learn, whom most it doth concern, who dwell beneath the rays of such a heaven. Not ours, who to eternal rock may turn, for, be we now sore driven, we yet shall live, and yet shall find a race, who with this dart shall each dark stain efface. And I who hear, as told in speech divine, how exiles great as these are grieved, yet find some ease, this my long banishment as honour hold. And if man's judgment or fate's ordered line will that the world should learn white flowers to black to turn, to fall among the good with praises told. And but that I no more the star behold, which, now far off removed from my gaze, once burnt me with its blaze, light should I deem the burdens that oppress. But this fire burns not less, and has already eaten flesh and bone, so that death's key upon my heart doth press. Hence, though I guilt should own, many a month since that guilt is gone and spent, if guilt but dieth soon as men repent. My song, let no man on thy robes lay hands, to see what lady fair hides from all eyes. Let parts unveiled suffice, the sweeter fruit within to all deny, to which hot hands draw nigh. And if it chance that thou on one dost light the friend of virtue, and to thee he cry, "Clothe thee in colours bright," then show thyself to him, that loving heart may long for flower that shows so fair a part. End of section 72. Section 73 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 73. Canzone XX. Laudes Florentiae. O patria, degna de triunfal fama. Dear country, worthy of triumphal fame, mother of high-souled sons, thy sister's grief thine own is far above. He of thy children feeleth grief and shame, hearing what traitorous ones do in thee, more as he the more doth love. Ah me, how prompt ill-doers are to move in thee, forever plotting treachery with squint and envious eye, showing thy people still the false for true. Lift up the sinking hearts and warm their blood. Upon the traitor's brood let judgment fall, that so with praises due, that grace may dwell in thee, which now complains, wherein all good is source and home attains. Thou reign'st happy in the fair past days, when each that was thine heir sought that all virtues might thy pillars be. Home of true peace and mother of all praise, thou in one faith sincere wert blest, and with the sisters 4 and 3. And now those fair forms have abandoned thee, and mourning clad, with vices all o'erdone, thy true Fabrici gone. Haughty and vile, of true peace deadly foe, dishonoured one, hot faction mirroring still, since Mars thy soul doth fill, thou doomest true souls to Antenora's woe, who follow not the widowed lily's spear, and those who love thee most have most to fear. Thin out that evil baleful root in thee, nor pity thou thy sons, who have thy fair flowers made all foul and frail, and wilt thou that the virtues victors be, so that thy faithful ones, now hidden, rise with right, and sword in hand. Follow where still Justinian's beacons stand, and thine unrighteous and revengeful laws correct as wisdom draws, that they may gain the praise of heaven and earth. Then when thy riches honour and endow what sons best homage show, nor lavish them on those of little worth, so that true Prudence and her sisters may dwell with thee still, nor thou disown their sway. Serene and glorious, on the whirling sphere of every creature blest, if thou dost this, thou shalt in honour reign, and thy high name, which now with shame we hear, on thee, Fiorenza, rest. And soon as true affection thou shalt gain, blest shall the soul be, born in thy domain. Thou wilt deserve all praise and majesty, and the world's ensign be. But if thy pilot thou refuse to change, then greater storms and death predestinate expect thou as thy fate, and through thy paths all discords wild shall range. Choose thou then now if peace of brotherhood, or wolf-like ravin make most for thy good. Boldly and proudly now, my Canzone, go, since love thy steps doth guide. Enter my land for which I mourn and weep, and thou wilt find some good men there, though low their light burns, nor spreads wide. But they sink down, their virtues in the mire. Cry to them, rise, my trumpet bids aspire, take arms and raise her to her place on high, for she doth wasted lie. For Campanius and Crassus her devour, Aglaurus, Simon Magus, the false Greek, and Mahomet, the weak of sight, who wields Jugurtha's, Pharaoh's power. Then turn to her, good citizens and true, and pray that she a nobler life renew. End of section 73.
Section 74 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 40. Friendly Warning. Io mi credea del tutto esser partit. I thought that I had parted evermore, good Messer Cino, from those rhymes of thine. For now another course I must assign to my good ship, already far from shore. But since I hear it rumoured o'er and o'er, that thou art caught by any bait and line, to give to this, my pen I now incline a little while, my wearied fingers' lore. Who falls in love, as is the case with thee, bound and set free by every new delight, shows that but lightly love hath aimed his dart. If to so many wills thy heart gives plight, I pray in heaven's name it reformed may be, that to your sweet words deeds be counterpart. End of section 74. Recording by Shakira Searle.
Section 75 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 41. Quis locus ingenio. Poich'io non trovo chi meco ragioni. Since I have none who will with me converse of that Lord whom we serve, both you and I, needs must I with the strong desire comply, the good thoughts that stir in me to rehearse. Naught else doth keep me in this mood perverse of silence that I feel so painfully, save that my lot in such vile place doth lie, that good finds none to shelter it. Yea, worse, love finds no home in face of lady fair, nor is there any man who for him sighs, and were there one, fool would they call him there. Ah, Messer Cino, ill our changed times fare, to our great loss and to our poesies, since goodness such a scanty crop doth bear. End of section 75. Recording by Algie Pug.
Section 76 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumter. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 42. Rivals or Partners. Due donne in cima della mente mia. Two ladies to the summit of my mind had come to hold discourse concerning love. In virtue clothed and kindness one doth move, prudence and honour follow close behind. Beauty the other hath, and grace refined, and a fresh honour gentleness doth prove. And I, by grace of my dear Lord above, do homage to their sovereignty combined. Beauty and virtue both the soul invite, and question, can a heart, in loyalty of perfect love, to ladies twain be plight? The fount of gentle utterance makes reply, yea, beauty may be loved for her delight, and virtue likewise for her workings high. End of section 76. Recording by Shakira Searle. Section 77 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumter. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 43. Fair but Cruel. Nulla mi parrà, mai più crudel cosa. Naught can to me more pitiless appear than she to serve whom I my life have lost. For her affection is as lake in frost, and mine dwells ever in love's furnace clear. Of this fair maid, so proud and so severe, I joy to see the beauty she doth boast, and so with love of my great pain am tossed. No other pleasure to my eye comes near. Not she who ever turns the sun to see, and, changed herself, a love unchanged doth keep, had ever, as I have, a woe so deep. Therefore, since never can thy full power sweep o'er this fair proud one, love, ere life shall flee, for pity's sake, come, sigh awhile with me. End of section 77. Recording by Shakira Searle.
Section 78 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 44. Faith and Unfaith. Lo re, che merta I suoi servi a ristoro. The king, who doth his servants recompense in fullest measure, heaped and running o'er, bids me my rancorous pride indulge no more, and to the highest counsel look from hence. And thinking on the choir of citizens who in the heavenly city evermore praise their Creator, I, a creature, soar, eager to praise yet more His love immense. If for the future prize I contemplate, to which God calls all born of Christian race, nought else can in my wishes find a place. But much I mourn for thee, dear friend, whose face turns not to look upon that future state, losing sure good for shows that hope frustrate. End of section 78. Recording by Audiobooks.
Section 79 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E. H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata XI. The Beatific Vision. Since still I fail mine eyes to satisfy with looking on my lady's face so fair, so fixed my glances there shall be, that bliss shall spring from seeing her. E'en as an angel who in essence pure doth still on high endure, and seeing God in fullest bliss hath part, thus mortal, and no more, beholding the full store of beauty in her face who holds my heart, I too of blessedness may learn the art. Such is her virtue that it spreads and flows, though what it is none knows, save him whose yearnings honour true confer. End of section 79. Recording by Jordan Heron.
Section 80 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ballata XII. Springtide Joy. Fresca Rosa Novella. Fresh rose, just newly born, in joy-inspiring spring, as I in gladness sing, through meadow and by stream. How high I you esteem, I tell each green plantation. Yes, your high praise shall flow in joy renewed by all, the great ones and the small, whatever path they go, and birds shall trill their call, each in the tongue they know, in eve or morning's glow, on the green shrubs and tall, and all the world shall sing, as is indeed most meet, since cometh springtide sweet, your high praise and glory, telling out your story, your angel-like creation. Angelic beauty shining in thee, lady, showeth Heaven, what joy he knoweth who for thee was pining. Thy face, where true love gloweth, since far behind it leaveth all that use perceiveth, still in wonder groweth. Goddess-like 'mong women as thou art, thou seemest, with such beauty gleamest, that 'tis past my telling, past nature's power excelling e'en all imagination. Yes, beyond man's nature, thy most beauteous presence God has made as essence of each fairest creature. On me may that grace shine, nor far from me abide the will of God benign. And if it seem too daring that I to love am driven, well may I yet be shriven, for love my soul assaileth, with whom nor strength availeth, nor reason's moderation. End of section 80. Section 81 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumptre. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 45. What is Love? Molti volendo dir che fosse amore. Many who would fain tell what love may be have spoken words enough, yet failed they still to say of him what half the truth should fill, or note of his high greatness the degree. And one there was who in it heat did see, of soul, through which the thoughts of fancy thrill, and others said that 'twas desire of will, born of the heart and joyous ecstasy. But I affirm love hath no substance true, nor is corporeal thing with shape impressed. Rather it is a passion, strong to woo, delight and beauty, gift by nature blessed. So that the heart not other doth pursue, and this suffices, while in joy we rest. End of section 81. Section 82 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 46. Spring after Winter. Ora che il mondo s'adorna e si veste. Now that the world hath donned her bright array of leaves and flowers, and smiles clothe every field, and cold and cloud to skies of brightness yield, and living creatures are all glad and gay, and each one seems to own love's gentle sway, and small birds, singing from their throats unsealed, leave off the cries where tones of wailing pealed, and pour on hills and vales and woods their lay. Now that the season, sweet and glad and clear, of spring doth come in its own verdure clad, my hope revives, and I once more am glad, as one who life and praise hath ever had from that dear Lord above all others dear, who gives to me, his slave, no grudging cheer. End of section 82.
Section 83 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 47. Gold tried in the fire. Per villania di villana persona. Through baseness uttered by the base in mind, or through the whisper of the vile and rude, it is not meet that lady wise and good, around whose brows the wreaths of praise are twined, should grieve, or deem that fair fame twice refined, which is throughout with clearest light imbued, can thus be lost. By her 'tis understood that truth 'gainst her no cause of fault can find, as is the rose among the brambles seen, or in the fiery furnace purest gold, so thee, where'er thou art, may men behold. Let then the fools prate on with tongue o'erbold. For well 'tis known, thou greater praise dost glean, than if such wretches' speech had fairer been. End of section 83. Recording by Shakira Searle. Section 84 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 48. Ad misericordiam. Poiché, sguardando, il cor feriste intanto. Since with thy glance thou so hast pierced my heart with sharpest stroke, that it is nigh to bleed, for pity's sake some slight respite concede, that my sad spirit may not all depart. Dost thou not see mine eyes with weeping smart, still grieving so for sorrows that exceed, which still my footsteps to death's confines lead, that I no refuge find in any part? Behold and see, O lady, if I mourn, and if my voice hath passed to thinnest tone, while still to thee love's suppliant sighs are borne, and if it please thee, lady dear, mine own, that this my heart with sorrow should be worn, yet still I am thy humblest servant known. End of section 84. Recording by Shakira Searle.
Section 85 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri. Translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sonnet 49. Strength in Weakness. Togliete via le vostre porte ormai. Throw open wide your gates in all men's sight, and she shall enter who doth others raise, for she is one in whom dwells lasting praise, and full of courage is, and great in might. Ah me! Alas! What means this doleful plight? I tremble so, that no strength with me stays. Take heart, for I will be to thee always a help and life, as thou shalt tell aright. Nay, I feel all my strength as bound in thrall of secret virtue that with her she brings, and I see Love, who threatens fearful things. Turn thou to me, for in me joy upsprings, and let the strokes behind thee only fall, nor fear, soon will they vanish one and all. End of Section 85. Recording by Algie Pug. Section 86 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Canzone XXI. In Memoriam. Poscia chi ho perduta ogni speranza. Since every hope of mine hath from me gone, thy face again, my lady fair, to see, nought is there, nor can be, to comfort me in this my bitterness. To look on thee again, hope have I none, for fate hath stopped the way that leads to thee, by which, perchance, for me had been return to thy high nobleness. Therefore my heart abides in such distress, that I consume myself in sighs and tears, waiting the many years I bide, and yet my life death quenches not. What shall I do? Love still on me doth press, and failing hope on every side appears, no vesture safety bears, or succour, all brings torment as my lot, save only that I call on death to slay, and every life pulse loudly calls alway. That hope of mine, which whilom led me far from thy fair charms, which charm me more and more, I now as false deplore, made false by death, of every good the foe. For Love, through whom thy hands triumphant are, had promised strength and peace on me to pour. Through wise and truthful law he my soul strengthened, poor and full of woe, and led me labours sweet, though hard, to know. He made me part from thee for honour's sake, wishful for thee to take my way, to win more fame and high estate. My lord I followed. Should one say me, No, when I proclaim him noblest lord on earth, that No in lies hath birth. For never was there one so good and great, wise, temperate, brave, and largely liberal, more just than doth the lot of mortals fall. This lord, by God's own justice fashioned for virtue, of all men that are, elect, used with supreme effect his power, far more than any erst had done. By neither pride nor avarice was he led, nor fortune ill in him revealed defect. For still one might detect the strength which, dauntless, bade his foes come on. Wherefore by right and good choice was I won, in retinue of lord so dear, to stay. And if such went astray, who strove against his might with all their power, I might not with their hosts of falsehood run. I went with him, and shunned his foes alway, nor should we pine away, though death hath turned the sweet cup into sour. For men should still do good because 'tis good, nor can he fail who doeth what he should. Some there are, who but use for wealth and praise the goods which they to nature's bounty owe, whence little heed, I trow, they take how they their life may rightly lead. The honour others give no worth displays, but honour which a man in act doth show, as righteous uses grow, that is his very own, and praised his deed. How were such glory then as naught decreed, when death a lord so loved and honoured slew? No true soul takes that view, nor healthy thought, nor soul with vision clear. O saintly soul, raised to thy heavenly meed, subject and foe alike thy loss might rue, did but this world pursue its course, as ruled by men who good revere, rue his own guilt, who from thee failed and fell, rue his own life, who loved and followed well. I wail my life, for thou, my Lord, art dead. More than I love myself did I love thee, in whom was hope for me of home return, where I should be content. And now, with all that hope of comfort fled, more than all else my life goes heavily. Death, stern and harsh to see, how hast thou ta'en from me the sweet intent once more to see the fairest pleasures blent? That e'er the power of nature brought to birth in lady of great worth, whose beauty is so full of holiest grace? This thou hast taken from me, and assigned such sorrow as men never know on earth. For now, in lifelong dearth, I have no hope to see the much loved face. For he is dead, and I am far off still, and therefore hopeless sorrow works its will. My song, thou journeyest into Tuscan land, to that great joy above all others dear. End then thy journey there, telling in words of woe my sad estate. But ere thou pass from Lunigiana's strand, to Marquis Franceschino draw thou near, and with thy sweet speech clear, tell him, some hope in him with me doth wait, and since my distance from him sore doth grieve, pray him that I his answer may receive. End of Section 86. Recording by Algie Pug.
Section 87 of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E.H. Plumtree. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Dante's Confession of Faith. Credo. Full oft have I of love writ many rhymes, as sweet and fair and pleasant as I might, and much have sought to polish them betimes, but now my every wish is altered quite, because I know that I have spent in vain my labours and scant wage made claim of right. From that false love I now my hand restrain, the pen that wrote of him aside being laid, and, as a Christian, speak of God full plain. In God the Father I believe, who made all things that are, from whom all good does flow, that is through all their varied forms displayed. Through heaven and earth his grace still worketh so, and out of nothing he created all, perfect, serene, and bright with beauty's glow. Both things that under sight, touch, hearing fall, were fashioned by his goodness infinite, and those which we things intellectual call. And I believe the Son did flesh unite, man's flesh and life, in womb of Virgin blessed, who helps us with her prayers by day and night, and that the Godhead's glory thus did rest on Christ in all his sinless holiness, as Holy Church doth in her praise attest. Him thus we perfect God and man confess, the only Son of God, eternally begotten, God of God, whose name we bless. Begotten, not created, God most high, like to the Father, with the Father one, and with the Holy Ghost, mysteriously incarnate, who, that he might all atone, upon the holy cross was crucified, not for his fault, but of free grace alone. Then did he pass through that pit deep and wide of darkness, that he might the souls set free of the old fathers that did there abide, with watching hearts, till God and men should be united, and throw wide their prison door, and by his passion give them liberty. Certain it is that who holds this true lore complete, and with unswerving fealty, is through that passion saved for evermore. And him who doubteth this, or doth deny, as heretic we blame, his own worst foe, losing his soul that doth not this descry. From the cross taken, in the grave laid low, on the third day, with body and with soul, he rose again, as we believe and know. and with the self-same flesh, complete and whole, he took from her, the Virgin Mother blessed, he soared on high beyond the starry pole, and sits and shares the eternal Father's rest, till he shall come to judge the quick and dead, and recompense them both with interest. Wherefore, let each man's work of good be sped, and for good deeds let him hope paradise, where God's grace shall on us, his heirs, be shed. And he who sunk in sin and vices lies, let him expect in hell all grief and pain, sharing with demons their dread miseries. And of these woes no respite may he gain, for they, unchanging, last for evermore, and cries of anguish pour their ceaseless train. From such a doom may he whom we adore, the Holy Spirit, save poor souls undone. Third person, where is neither less nor more. For as the Father is, such is the Son, and such the Holy Spirit equally, one God, and of three holies, holy one. Such is, in truth, the blessed Trinity, that Son and Father, equally divine, are with the Spirit one mysteriously. From this desire and love, as both combine, proceeding from the Father and the Son, not made nor yet begotten, this creed's mine. He from that love and purpose high alone, of Son and Father doth proceed and reign, nor this nor that as single source doth own. Whoso attempts more subtly to explain what the full being of our God may be, wastes all his labor, and his toil is vain. Alone let it suffice that firmly we believe in that which Holy Church doth teach, who thereof giveth us the true decree. Sacramenta. Baptism, I do believe, adorneth each with grace divine, and makes him wholly clean of sin, and doth to every virtue reach. The fruit of water and the word is here, nor more than once is it to any given, though he from deadly sin return in fear. And failing this, all hope from each is riven, of passing onward to the life eterne, although he own all virtues under heaven. Light of that lamp that doth so brightly burn, from the blessed Spirit oft in us doth show, and all our wishes in the right way turn, for keen desire for baptism burneth so in us, that for his right volition still, no less than deed, the righteous man we know. And to cleanse us from our unrighteous will, and from the sins that from God separate, we penance have for wholesome chastening still, nor by our power nor skill, however great, can we return to win God's bounteous grace, unless confession comes to renovate. This first involves contrition to efface ills thou hast done, with thine own mouth then speed to own the sin that works in us apace. Then satisfaction we, as next stage, reach, which with the acts aforesaid doth unite, used well, to win the pardon we beseech. But since our evil foe doth still incite our weak will unto wrong, to our great woe, and little fears our virtue's vaunted might, that we may scape the fraud that cruel foe still ever plans our weakness to ensnare, in he from whom all world-wide evils flow, our Lord and God doth in his love prepare Father and friend, Christ's body and his blood, and on the altar shows them to us there, his own dear body, which upon the wood of the blessed cross hung, and its blood there shed, to liberate us from the foul fiend's brood. And, if apart from error truth be read, we see the very Christ, the Virgin's Son, veiled in the host beneath the form of bread, true God commingled with true man in one, beneath that outward show of bread and wine, that gift by which our paradise is won. So great and holy, wondrous and divine, is that mysterious awful sacrament, that my best speech the truth may not define. This gives us boldness, gives encouragement against the cunning tempter's subtlest art, so that his skill on us is vainly spent. For there God hears the pleadings of our heart, which flow from fervent faith in love intense, and from sincere contrition take their start. The power to work with miracle immense, to sing the hours and others to baptize, these gifts of my priests only may dispense. And to confirm our Christian mysteries, we chrisma and the holy oil possess, through which our faith gains stronger energies. Our flesh, which evermore to sin doth press, its pulses stirred by sensual appetite, oft prompts to deeds of foul lasciviousness. To check this evil, God, in wise foresight, appointed marriage as a remedy, so that this sin might lose its baneful might. And thus from Satan's snare that we may fly, the 7 blessed sacraments a way provide, with prayers and alms and fasts continuously. Decalogus. 10 great commandments God has given as guide. The first, that we should worship him alone, nor to false gods and idols turn aside, nor to his holy name should wrong be done, or by false swearing, or by deed unblessed, but ever should we bless the Holy One. The third, that we should from all labor rest on one day of the week, the Lord's own day, as in the Church's law is manifest. And 'tis his will that we should duly pay to father and to mother reverence meek, since we from them derive our mortal clay. No wrong on life or goods of others wreak, but chastely live in stainless purity, nor shame for others, nor dishonor seek. For naught of good we find beneath the sky, should we false witness gainst our neighbor bear, lest false and true in common ruin lie. Nor should fierce wrath of passion us ensnare, to shed another's blood, and so to mar that face of God which we, his creatures, share. Nor will he from a deadly sin be far, who shall his neighbour's wife or goods desire, for then his base desires love's entrance bar. The last of all is that our wills aspire, no more to gain what is another's right, for that too parts us from our heavenly Sire, and that we may be ready day and night to keep his holy law continually, vice shun we, for it sweeps us from his sight. Septem peccata mortalia. In pride the root of every sin doth lie, hence man himself doth hold in loftier fame than others, and deserving lot more high. Envy is that which makes us blush for shame, with grief beholding others' happiness, like him whom we the foe of God proclaim. Wrath still more woe doth on the wrathful press, for its fierce mood lights up hell's fiery heat. Then ill deeds come, and loss of holiness. Sloth looks with hate on every action meet, and to ill-doing ever turns the will, is slow to work, and quick to make retreat. Then avarice comes, through which the whole world still vexes its soul, and breaks through every law, and tempts with gain to every deed of ill. Both fool and wise foul gluttony doth draw, and he who pampers still his appetite shortens his life to fill his greedy maw. In lust that comes the 7th and order right, the bond of friendship breaks and brotherhood, at variance still with truth and reason slight. Let us against these sins have fortitude, they need but little ink to register, so may we pass where loftiest pleasures brood. I say, to enter in that cloister fair, behoves we lift our horizons to God, whereof is first our Paternoster prayer. Paternoster. Our Father, who in heaven hast thine abode, thy name be ever hallowed in our praise, and thanks for all thy goodness hath bestowed. Thy kingdom come, in as its meaning weighs this prayer of ours, and may thy will prevail on earth as it in heaven is done always. Give, Father, of our bread the daily tale, and may our sins be of thy grace forgiven, nor aught we do of thy good pleasure fail. And as we too forgive, do thou from heaven grant, for thy part, forgiveness full and free, to save us from the foes with whom we've striven. Our God and Father, fount of charity, protect and save us from the subtle snare of Satan and his darts that deadly be, so that to thee we may uplift our prayer, that we thy grace may merit, and may come thy kingdom by devotion full to share. We pray thee, Lord, whose glory lights our gloom, guard us from troubles. Lo, to thee our heart with lowly glance looks upward to its home. The blessed Virgin Mother too has part, and rightly in our praises, well may prove fit close for this, the service of our art. We pray her that to grace of God's great love she lead us, by the might of her blessed prayer, and from the snares of hell our souls remove. And all who through their sins in darkness fare, may she relume, and lose with gracious mien, unbinding from the toils of hell's despair. Ave Maria. Ave Maria, Mother, Maid and Queen, most gracious, God doth ever with thee stay. Above all women, high in heaven serene, blessed also be thy Son, to whom I pray, our Jesus Christ, to guard us from all ill, and lead us with him to eternal day. Blessed Virgin, may it ever be thy will to let thy prayer to God for us arise, that he may here be our protector still, and bring us at the last to paradise. End of section 87. End of Canzoniere by Dante Alighieri, translated by E. H. Plumtree.